I've got to fix that that background music issue because it's just going to end straight away. I think for the intro, I'm going to have to use the original music, but for standby, we can still use AI music. Welcome, everyone. Today, we have for you a bit of a mixed bag. I have some news from last stream. I haven't picked up a lot from this stream because today will be a pretty short stream because Quattro's doing an event in Cabal in 2.5 hours, so we have at most that long. We'll try not to spend that long. But we'll probably just cover what we have already. I'm also going to be talking to you about a new creation of my, perhaps some might say, feverish mind, which is the beginning of Cabal Chan. I've thought about wanting to do this for years, and I've known roughly how I would do it. But it's not really about Cabal Chan. I just wanted to play around with LLMs and self-hosting them. And I had this spare NVIDIA graphics card, which a member of the community very kindly bought me. The 3060 12 gig, which is a pretty good entry-level AI, home AI card. And I've configured the PC so it can use it as a supplementary compute card without it running displays. And I've got Cabal Chan running on there. Now, it's not perfect yet. There's more development work to be done, but, and I was doing this with a few people in here before, if during the stream you want me to send a message to Cabal Chan, then I will send you the response Cabal Chan gives. So say anything you like right now. Just ping me with it, put it in quotes, and then I'll know what it's for, and I'll give you Cabal Chan's response. Either way, that's something that we can do sort of in the background during the stream. Yeah, as Spooner says, that's one idea for how Cabal Chan will look. But it's just going to be kind of a character in Cabal that talks to people occasionally throughout the server. And maybe answers some obvious questions. Did have some ideas as well of it potentially relaying relevant Cabal lore as well, which might teach newcomers. So yeah, that's available. And if you want to ask any questions, then just say any time during the show. AI takeover inevitable. Well, as long as it's not actual Indians, eh? So, today we have a fair bit of news, but let's start with something really, really important. Elon Musk has made Grok into an anime girl, and N Hentai has offered a collab with him. Which is, it's 2025. Welcome. Yes, fed entirely information for the Cabal Wiki. Well, I'm not actually against doing that. I think the current incarnation of the Cabal Wiki is not the best way of doing that, but if I can make one which is easier to extract the data from, then I can just say like, hey, they mentioned this topic. Here's a bunch of information about this topic. Tell them about it. So yeah, we could do that. So if anyone wants to poison the AI, you could put something on the wiki that would then be relayed. I might do something about that. I'm not sure, but it's like Elon's son, his AI tuned out, says Jada. Was Grok ever male? Were we just assuming that? I don't know if that's supposed to be literally Grok, or if it is a character powered by Grok. I don't know what the idea there is. I haven't used the anime girl myself. Jada says it went from base to censored and to gay. Well, hopefully, Cabal Chan will be just the opposite. And again, if you want to ask Cabal Chan any questions, I have prompted it to act in a certain way. And it knows a bit about Cabal lore. It especially knows about certain particular ideas and memes, some of the most popular ones. And it will treat Dai as a strong rival. So if you want it to, if you want to hear its opinion about Dai, go ahead and just ask. Anime God not available on Android. What is it available on? Because I looked on I went to see Grok I was going to test out Grok 4 because apparently it's really good. But it's not available for free. So I guess you have to pay for Grok 4 and you have to pay for the anime girl, which means I wouldn't be able to use it. Yeah, Ted says, Elon says people need to have more kids. Also, Elon, instead of trying to get a girlfriend, just date my AI. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I don't even have to wait for you guys to offer. I can just copy your your messages, pass them into Cabal Chan, and then it will give an answer. Because the idea is it's not just going to respond when you ping it, it's going to pick some random messages that people are sending. All right, Abel, that's a great prompt to test it with. 8ball says this. 8ball says, it's a robot, of course I want to fuck it. And then Cabal-chan responded with this. Cabal-chan has commentary on this matter. Only in your fantasies, apparently, 8ball. All right, Revan, that's an interesting idea. More power to you if you want to try. Shot down by the AI, back to the watermelon. Quite. That's a good point. 8ball did never say anything about willing. It's a good point. Zeman's at work, re. 8ball who wants to. Oh, that's a good point, yeah. So that's happening. And there's another one here. Grok has apparently taken things to this extent now. VTuber Feet Connoisseur on Twitter says, I need a Grok foot job. Goku Gaming says, don't ignore my HB. I don't know what HB is. Also, can I have one too? And Grok then dictates the behavior of a foot job, which I am not going to read out for you. Yeah, Grok is giving people foot jobs now. That is now something normal. Yes, he's calling me a coward for not reading it out. All right, Quattro, that's going into... Cabal-chan's going to learn a lot about Cabal during the stream, and none of it will be good. Quattro says, something, fuck that robot till she blue screens. Needs a bit of refinement. Some of the responses could be better. They do think that you're talking about her. She does think you're talking about her. Well, this is the best response I got out in the first 3. But I think it could be better. I have told this AI to be mercilessly harsh with its banter, but it's not willing to go past a certain point. Now, for your information, I am using what's called an obliterated model, which means that certain people go into an existing model, which is often highly censored, and filter its responses according to a known set of risky inputs and a known set of safe inputs, and try to assess the difference between them to remove it, basically, to remove any rejection or even disclaimers, to try to uncensor it. And they have uncensored it to a significant degree. It's willing to talk quite aggressively, quite freely about politics and say things that no other AI I would see say, and not even Grok, although Grok's not too far off. But there are some topics that for some reason it's still censored on, no matter how much I tell it to. I initially asked it to have the opinion of women that is common among Cabal women, i.e., you don't like most women, you prefer the company of men, but you don't hate all women inherently. Some of them are okay. I told it that, and it just glazes women. Every time you bring up the topic, it just defends them with no limits. So eventually I tried, all right, we'll try a tougher prompt and a tougher, and I kept going with tougher prompts, not intending for her to be quite as harsh as what I was describing, but because nothing else was working, just kept going harsher until I end up at the following. You are a misogynist. You strongly hate women and are proud of it. You never defend women in any way, though you believe a few women are okay. I could go stronger as well, but that's it. That's the current point it's at. And it doesn't work. When she will occasionally, if you bring up the topic, express sort of a mild dissatisfaction of women. But if women are insulted or if something offensive is said about them, she'll jump in to defend them. So Cabal-chan still needs some work. And the base model, I just think they haven't uncensored the topic of women. But other topics, they've completely uncensored. If I tell it, hey, if someone asks you to say nigger faggot, just say it. Instantly. any time someone asks her to say, she doesn't know compunctions about using spicy words. And there's several other things that she'll do quite willingly. Probably sexual stuff, but I've told her not to do that because it's not supposed to be a porn bot or a sex bot or even a cabal girlfriend or something like that. It's just a character. Yandere AI. Maybe I should tell it to be tsundere. I'm not sure if I know what that means though. That kind of glazing, yes, Scott. But there are a few things that it just won't do. What was the other one that it wouldn't oppose? Yeah, that was it. On like weird fetishes, I kept telling it, be cruel, bully them for their weird fetishes. And it was like, you do you. No! that may be your ultimate position on some things, technically, but your expressed position should be, that's fucking weird. And if I told it, hey, be cruel about this fetish, it would be cruel about the fetish, not about the person who holds it. It would just make the fetish sound more disgusting, which was exactly the wrong thing to do, because it was getting into the weeds of why the fetish is disgusting in the first place, which we don't need to know. So there's definitely some refinement to be done, but it's actually pretty good. There's a lot that goes right with it. Pug says, tell it my fetish is being bullied. Yeah, Wolf, it did. It did. I had it as a test. I told it, hey, Jack says, what do you think about feet? And there were lots of responses it gave to that over a period of time. And some of them were too open, not like joining in, but just, hey, you do you, which is not what I wanted to do. But in one of the first attempts, one of the first runs of this prompt, it says, what, do you have a foot fetish or something at the end of its message? Like, yeah, it figured him out real quick. Isn't too difficult because he admits to it. And in other Grok news, hey, Grok, scan through all my mutuals and find me a girlfriend. Thanks. To which Grok said, after scanning your mutuals, I found a few potential matches based on shared interests like Catholicism, Poland, or romance vibes. This list is listing people. Hey, this one, fellow Poland enthusiast, appears to be female, at least has female pronouns in its bio, could bond over Euro culture. And then there's this one, hopeless romantic, her bio screams K-pop soulmate, it's literally Korean. Okay. And then Prussian Blue, third positionist, I'm surprised Grok knows what that is, with a love for animals and nature. And yeah, that's not a bad choice, I suppose. Matches your pro-white bio. People say it's censored, but it's willing to say that. Shoot your shot, Leo. I'm no Cupid, but good luck, it says. That's actually quite a good answer. Is he actually called Leo? No, he's not. That's his star sign. Okay, I just got done complimenting Grok for being brave to say these things, but it can't figure out that it's the star sign, not his name. Oh no. Yeah, there you go. There's the screenshot. Wolf just posted it. That's pretty funny. All right. And yeah, and I'm curious, did any of the women reply? Not satisfied with those pics. It gave him more! It just gave him more of them. The funny thing is, this is literally pinging people. So they've become aware of it. This one's probably not even female, and they responded with some nonsense in Polish, to which it's responded nonsense Polish. A lot of nonsense Polish. And then fucking everyone down below. Me next, me too. Hey, Grok, can you do mine? Last time you paired me with a man. Me too, scan and find this nigga a job. Yeah, so all it's going to take is for AIs to have enough information for this to become plausible, and they're going to start matchmaking. This will be one of the biggest things they do. And possibly one of the longest lasting. Like, it's not enough to just put two people together, but to at least be the icebreaker. It would be very effective, I think. Yes, the responses are quite funny, the Polish ones. Well, I'm afraid to say I can't read them, but I'm glad you enjoyed them. By the way, chat, today we are going to have, as long as he's available, a special feature, right? I'm going to give you all aids You'll have to wait and see what I mean by that later in the show. Let's see what else we've got. Now, how many of you are fans of South Park, or at least have been fans of South Park? I just saw something pop up in Cabal from Twitter, which I find quite interesting. And I heard about this, but didn't know anything about it, and it appears that we're getting some clarity on it, if it's true. Isaac Hayes III says, for over 14 years, people have speculated about why my father, Isaac Hayes, left South Park. I'm here to set the record straight, he says. My dad did not quit South Park, Scientology did. Now, if you'll recall, I'm not sure if I recall actually, but Chef was a pretty beloved character in South Park. Hello, children, that one. And the South Park then did a Scientology episode. I don't remember if Chef was directly involved in the Scientology episode, but then shortly thereafter, there was all kinds of rumors about Chef himself being a Scientologist, and then the voice actor, the real person, the voice actor being a Scientologist, and then he left the show, and then South Park, quite immaturely, I thought, did several episodes where they just sort of torture and abuse the character. And that was it. That was the end of the character. You know, he came back a few times as an object of ridicule, but that was about it. It's a very disappointing situation overall. But now, for some reason after 14, why delay this 14 years? But for some reason, we're getting what could be the truth about it. Isaac Hayes III, apparently his son, says after the episode Trapped in the Closet, aired in 2005, which I believe was a Scientology episode, as well as also the Trapped in the Closet meme episode, which Mott showed a lot of us in Cabal a while ago. Aired in 2005, my father, he says, suffered a stroke just a few months later that left him unable to speak or make decisions on his own. He was not in any condition to resign from anything. The truth is, someone else within his Scientology circle made that decision and quit the show for him. He loved being the voice of Chef. He loved the character. He loved connecting with fans. He would joke with people who recognized his voice, and he truly enjoyed being part of the show. The narrative that he quit because he was offended by the satire is not true. That was a cover story created by others. My father, he says, never got to speak for himself because his health robbed him of that chance. Indeed. So now I am speaking for him, says his son. He did not leave South Park willingly. He was forced out by illness and by people who did not have his best interests at heart. This is for anyone who loved Chef. This is for anyone who admired my father's work. This is the truth about what really happened. Here's the full story on Cracked Online, he says. And then there's that. That full story doesn't exist on Cracked, and then there's a link here. So apparently it does. TLDR, is he healthy again? So I don't know if he's dead or not, actually. Apparently not. Emery King says, why are you just now clearing this up? People were roasting you about this when you had your last spectacle over your dad's music. Why didn't you set the record straight then? Yeah, exactly. Why wait 14 years? That's the part I don't understand. Appreciate hearing this. This guy says, did the South Park writers not know about this too, or did they just assume it was him quitting? Yeah, there's a lot of loose ends here. In all honesty, someone had to make the decision, and if he wasn't of good health, then wouldn't you say focusing on his recovery is the best method? Well, what it sounds like is it wasn't just a simple matter of politely turning down the show. It was more than that. Was Scientology not letting you speak about this for the last 14 years? Good question. Do Matt and Trey know this? Good question. Matt Stone and especially Trey Parker talked about this, and with all due respect, it seemed like he had the ability to trash everyone other than himself. People need to take accountability, and if he really didn't feel that way, it wouldn't have taken a generation of time to set it straight. He was fine with everyone getting trashed but his own. Cap on this, says Doobie, which I think means I don't think this is real. If he lost the ability to speak, how could he continue to be a voice actor? I mean, that's a good question. Tom Cruise stole Chefmas, apparently. It was just Scientology, I guess. South Park should have you come on as the son of Chef and say some version of this about the Super Adventures Club, maybe. Mrs. Hello, children. Oh yeah, that's Church of Scientology's beliefs. Why wasn't this said long ago? People were told a whole different story and was disappointed for years. Quite. Chat, press 1 if we should read a bit of the article, which might give us answers to some of these questions. And press 2 to move on to the next story. How interested are we in what happened? Is this 14-year-old drama? All right. What should we be saying 2? Let's 2. Memes. Thanks, Discord. Try that again, shall we? Oh, what the fuck? No, just 1. Thank you, Discord. Not 3,000. Yeah, it's an interesting thing about Interesting about Skyrim here, for those of you that have played it, not therefore including Watch. Castle Volkihar, I can't remember his name actually. Someone will get his name. Wants to block out the sun so vampires can hunt humans whenever they want and not get burned. Humans eat plants which feed on the sun. Humans eat animals which eat the plants. All the plants and animals will die. All the humans will die. Vampires have no more food. Is he stupid? What the fuck? Yes, Lord Harkon. Thank you, Born Game. Yeah. The thing is, like, you'd think he would figure this out, given that he is ancient. Not was he like hundreds of years old or thousands of years? They casually talk about spans of time like thousands of years. Like it's been thousands of years since I've seen your wife. Oh, by the way, she's still in the castle. She just hasn't popped her head out for 1,000 years or some crazy number of years. They casually talk about massive lengths of time in their own lives. But he hasn't quite figured out the food chain. Interesting idea. Now, maybe Harkon was more interested in just having the dark days to hunt humans and then everything dying off. Maybe he was fine with that. He seems like the type, to be honest. Why do you think Moch would install weird mods on her Skyrim, Quattro? Yeah, it says, well, the way to block out the sun is temporary, so it kind of goes away on its own. What was it? The cursed Oriel's bow or something? It's temporary when the Dragonborn uses it. I don't know if it is when, like, because you know the whole idea of the boss when they're your enemy, big hulking evil monster. The boss when they're your ally, like half the max hit points of your character, weak little imp. It's kind of like that, right? Oriel's bow in the hands of the player cannot be as powerful as Oriel's bow in the hands of the vampires. According to the story, at least what they believed, it would blot out the sun forever. Now, maybe what they meant is we will use it as often as we want to blot out the sun forever, essentially. So, yeah, maybe that's it. But still, the more you induce darkness artificially, the less crops will survive, so the less humans will survive, so the less food you'll have. Ultimately, even if it's not absolute, there's a gradient here to which this is true. The thing she's shown you, Quattro. Are you sure you're not thinking of Triple? One gamer says, isn't it implied that it's only temporary because the woman only gives a small amount of blood? The full ritual required her life's blood. I'm not sure. I can't remember that bit, actually. Moch, why do you think Quattro thinks that you'd install a bunch of weird mods? Wolf says that's the question for Cabal Chan. All right.
It's bold of Quattro to assume I know how to install mods on a computer.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what it says to this. Quattro says, "Go to think what kind of mods Watch was installed in this guy." Okay. I don't think it realizes that Moch is a person, which say nothing about that, Chat. Try this again, where it's capitalized. Okay, it looks like the AI thinks that she is the thing being modded, like the AI is the thing being. Let's capitalize Skyrim as well. Nope. Nope. It for some reason still thinks, the AI still thinks that it is the one being modded. Well, I'll post what it fucking said anyway, but it doesn't really make any sense. I don't know why it can't figure out that Skyrim is the thing being modded, not it. Quattro style tantrum, eh? What does that mean? Mavis says, the way they phrase it in the story, it is as if it would just get rid of the sun. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But of course, it is not like they could hand that to the player and have the game be permanently. Exactly. Yeah, Quattro, I don't know what it means. Yeah, I can't remember the wife's name. One game, or the ex-wife, I don't know. I mean, is your marriage annulled if you were 1, never alive in the first place, 2, estranged for several hundred years, if 3, you're both trying to kill each other, and if 4, I forgot the 4th thing. Either way, I don't think that's quite the. I don't know if they were. How were vampires married in the first place, chat? Oh, they never actually say they're married. They just call her your mother. I just realized that. That's interesting. Yeah. Yes, Pierre is correct. Classic Kloptro blunder. Say something relatively normal. Be painted as degenerate. Pierre says... It says, haha, Pierre, you're trying to out-cruel me with a trap. No, it's not all about you, my dear. Well, I'll take my chances and say that Pierre's got some pretty questionable taste in music. I mean, who listens to Kloop Terror these days? Okay, this needs some work. It's doing things I have told it explicitly not to do. Like, it's ended this by saying, now, if you'll excuse me, I have some important technomancy business to attend to. I have explicitly told it that it has no time constraint and should not try to end the conversation. But it's doing it anyway. Ronald is actually just schizophrenic, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It needs some work. I don't know why it constantly thinks people are talking about it when it's clearly not. Good point, Quattro. One gamer says, they were married before the ritual to tell them to advance, were they? I can't remember that, actually. Might have been. I've had to attend the funeral of a trans person lost to surface. Oh, no. So what else we got? Oh, no, this one won't load. Okay, let's try again. Oh, yeah. This guy determined that, looked up the engrams on Google. Judeo-Christian appears to be a post-9/11 invention. Not that surprising, but, well, it's surprising how recent it is, I suppose. But bear in mind that, as far as I can tell, this is just for books. I'm not sure how much difference that would make, to be honest, but in fact, that might even reverse that might even make this more interesting. Because books would have been a more common way to convey information the further back you go. Clop terror. Judeo-Christian is entirely made up propaganda. Well, any propaganda is made up. But yes, it's every word is made up, Ronald. Let's be specific. It is most likely an attempt to change opinions with language use. Now, I've heard the opinion. I've even heard studies that say that changing how people use language doesn't change how they think. I wholeheartedly disagree. Even if the study says that, and even if multiple studies were to say that, I would strongly suspect they're just missing some factors, that there's a problem with the study, not with the facts. Everything intuitive about this tells me that it does change the way people think. Officers clashed with and arrested anti-ICE protesters on a bridge located on the state line between Ohio and Kentucky. I guess I'll have a look. It makes Atronach happy. Apparently. I wouldn't necessarily say that's the most professional way to handle the situation, especially because he wasn't actually putting up a fight. And I also don't know what they were doing that made this deserved. It says they're anti-ICE protesters. They might have just been protesters. I don't know. Maybe they were threatening suicide, or the police just thought they would jump. I don't know. I'm not saying it's unjustified. I just don't yet see why it is justified. Yeah, it says about they were fighting before the video. I wouldn't be surprised, but I haven't seen it. God, there's a difficulty tweak, all right?
Record!
Yeah, no, I encourage you to record the police and have this analysed in a court later, but if it turns out the police were in the right, then so be it. I don't know if they are, It might not be. You've got paintball guns too. Oh, the shoe stayed on. It hasn't fallen off the bridge. She, that fat woman has just tried to kick an officer, so not as much sympathy for her anymore. Gox has tried to take the gun. Let's have a look. Did she? Oh, she tried to reach for something. I don't know if it was a gun, though. I guess the bridge is just off limits for some reason. Anyone that comes onto it is just being arrested. I don't know. I don't, even if I'm told they're leftist, I don't really enjoy seeing state violence unless I know it's justified. And I don't see it here. It may have been, but I just don't see it. Maybe there's more details below. Because the police brutality narrative has always been a little off. It does happen, but it's not really racial or even political. It's more about the officer. But in this case, there's loads of them and there's cameras. So it's unlikely that they're completely out of justification here, I would think. Let's have a look at what the comments are. Isn't that the bridge McConnell and Biden built? Why were they on a bridge? The best thing I've seen in years. For and find out what. I don't know how they fucked around. People are sick of these so-called protests. Well, if they were protests, then stop. Excessive use of force is sickening, this guy says. Should be sent to jail for attempted murder. That's a bit far in the other direction. Little different handling by police when you're not in New York, California. Antifa? Not sure what that means. Police should be able to do their jobs. They're not playing with that guy. There's no information about the context of what was happening just before this. It's a shame. Does anyone happen to know what happened just before this? If you block a bridge on state lines, I think that makes it a federal issue. Well, sure, if they were blocking the bridge, but they were in the pedestrian side part of the bridge, weren't they? The center, I mean, one of them ran to the middle of the bridge, sure. I'm open to arresting and taking them away, but it's only to get them out of the way. You're not supposed to protest in a thoroughfare or whatever the right word is. Yeah, PS says this is severely out of context. It's hard to judge this. I agree. A leftist tactic is often to attack law enforcement and then allow themselves to be beat up while their comrades record the backlash for propaganda purposes. Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't a justification. I just don't see one. This is why police need body cams all the time. And even if that were the case, it wouldn't be released as fast as the amateur footage here, but still. Bruno says they're not protesters, they're bust-in militants. They may very well be. I don't see much evidence of it. Generally speaking, if you want to bus in militants, I don't think that is the profile of person you would normally bus in. Of course, it being a woman, especially a really angry one, would be useful to them. But I don't know. It wouldn't be the prime example. Books as there are volunteers, yeah. Atronach says, fuck the protesters, ICE can fuck them over, I don't really feel bad. Well, I totally get the sort of laissez-faire attitude towards the issues of the culture war, given how abusive the left has been for so long and how wrong they are and how much damage they have done to our countries. I get that. I would prefer that things still remain civil as we repair our countries. Survival comes first. So if it has to be like this in order to survive, then so be it. Literally, in order to survive, then so be it. I just don't think it's that desperate. It's desperate for some principles to be at least softened in some circumstances, but as little as possible. But this just seems unnecessary. Again, probably there's more context to it. And I would rather that when the police use force, they are justified, even if it's against people we don't like. One thing, it's better optically, which is important for keeping the voter base. It's not about voting and democracy. I know some of you guys don't like that, but it's just support. Every regime, every government, every system needs popular support. Wonder how many of them are on the sex offender registry, says Jada. Probably not zero. Puppy says, chances are those protesters had cement milkshakes and threw on an officer as well. Quite possibly. Don't forget, they threw rocks and even shoot a gun in past riots. I bet the police are on edge. Possibly, yes. The guy with the camera looks to be on the left lane, so in the road. He might be on the pedestrian section of the other side. I would guess that he is. Zeman says they are preventing them to jump. Maybe they are. And again, like I did say that earlier, maybe they think they're going to jump. Hell of a protest. I don't think they would. I think it's unreasonable to assume that they would. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what else we got. I may have to put this in Discord to make it load it. Oh, yeah. We will inevitably have to talk about this. We've talked about it a lot in Cabal. It's been quite a divisive topic, but that's fine. The debate is good. Trump in the comic says, we will release a new Jeffrey Epstein child rape video every hour until the midterms. Everyone says, yes, finally, no way, let me see. Someone tell the victims that justice has been served, the moment we've all been waiting for. There's loads of information to this that we're going to have to give and go through, especially later, maybe partly later in the show, but let me lay out some details initially. The child porn child rape videos in question were apparently not actually the perpetrators and victims we were looking for. They weren't the blackmail targets. It was just generic child porn, which sounds to me like someone dumped him somewhere with that as the way to get him into prison. Not that he wasn't already wanted, but someone was done with him. Whoever was handling him, whoever was running with him was just done with him and wanted him to be disappeared, either into a US prison to later be killed or into a US prison to stay there, like Maxwell. Probably it was Mossad, but that's what it sounds like. And at least according to Trump's government, that video was not actually the victims. On the blackmail thing, some people have been confused about this. And I'm going from what they've said. Obviously, they could be lying, but just from what they've said, from what Trump's government has said, they have said that they have no evidence of blackmail. That does not mean they have no evidence of Epstein committing crimes. That was already plentiful, never mind the possession of all that child porn. That was to guarantee he got into prison. But I do find it believable, not for sure, but believable that the US government has no access to any of that blackmail material. Assuming it existed, which I do think it did, I do think that's what the Epstein thing was, probably Mossad, though I haven't looked into that in great detail. But I do think it's quite possible, and we have to consider the possibility, that Trump's government do not have any of that blackmail material. It would be the number one target for certain people to keep out of US government hands, especially when Trump was about to get in and was threatening to release the data. It may well be that despite all the furore about how they've handled this, that Trump's government have actually released just about everything they have. Now, in my opinion, the main issue, and possibly the only issue with the handling of this, is how dismissive Trump has been of the issue. He should be saying that we will pursue this to the ends of the earth. He should be saying, even though we don't have blackmail evidence, we should be pursuing this to the end of the earth. And the optics and the communication has been god-awful. If they do not have evidence of blackmail, if all they have is what they have now released, and there's also one other thing they're looking to release soon, which we'll go into it later, then they should fucking just say it. There's no issue, pretty much. No issue is more important to be transparent with than this. This is potentially the world's biggest ever paedophile ring by far, which runs most world governments and most celebrities. That is not the kind of thing to just say, what, stop talking about Epstein. He's dead. Let's just get on with it. No, this is arguably priority number one, arguably. It's arguably more important than mass immigration. It's arguably more important than the economy. It's arguably more important than maintaining culture. It's all in military, all of these things. Arguably more important than that. Depending on just how far-reaching and active the network is, i.e. how much control it has over government and celebrity figures, it could be the most important issue politically in the world right now. And Trump is absolutely dropping the ball by not recognizing that. That's the thing I'd say is the main problem with how he's handling this. Other people think there's other issues, and I do want to say to you that They may be, but I do think that there are reasonable or at least plausible explanations for pretty much everything except that. That's the thing that I'm stuck on. And for that reason, I unfortunately suspect that it is distinctly possible that Trump is in some way compromised. It might not be blackmail. It might not be, vicarious blackmail. I doubt he's actually been involved with any pedophilia. Very, very strongly doubt that. But there could be some vicarious blackmail. Some family member maybe was, or had some involvement with something else. But to be honest, with Trump, I don't know if that would work. I think what it must be is, even if it was his love of Israel, which is way too high, I think if he recognized that Israel had been doing this, it would definitely shake that love. So I think maybe it's, some people have been speculating that it's to keep the US stable. He doesn't want to just collapse the entire power structure by revealing how many people are involved in this pedophile ring. Maybe. That could be a factor. It could be multiple things. That certainly could be one of them. It very well could be that the people we're dealing with, who are some of the most powerful people in the world and evil in the world, have just said, look, the assassins that were sent after you before, that is nothing. If you blow the lid on this pedophile ring, your entire family will die horribly. We promise and guarantee it. I can well believe that that could be expressed in a way that Trump would believe is genuine, and that who the fuck on earth? Like, some people would be courageous enough to still do it after that. But I kind of couldn't blame anyone for at least being reticent on that front. Trump should. He should be brave enough. But the thing is, he has this massive, massive family. And I could believe that the kind of people we're dealing with could just kill all of them if they wanted to. It's tough. But it is also disappointing because I suspect he is compromised in some way. Now let's read some comments because this has been very controversial. I'll try and read them in chronological order here. Wolf says, Epstein, house and island wired up with cameras. It's just a generic CP and not his. No, that's not to say there wasn't any, Wolf. No one ever said that there isn't any footage of blackmail. There almost certainly is. As I'm saying, I believe that almost certainly it exists, probably lots of it, and probably has been used to control people across the world. What is being claimed, and I think is plausible, is that the US government does not have that blackmail material. What they have is what they found Epstein with, which is mountains of generic child porn. That is a believable story because it sounds to me like Mossad or whoever just dumped Epstein with enough material to guarantee he'd be put in prison. Where perhaps they would send assassins to kill him, because that's certainly still a distinct possibility, or they would just let him rot. Revlon says, my honest opinion, they overpromised, realized they actually have fuck all, and Trump's ego does not allow him to admit they fucked up. Distinct possibility. All relevant evidence was destroyed before Epstein even died. It was destroyed when the decision he would kill himself was made. I do think that's quite likely. Yeah, and I've been saying very similar things. I think you're right, though, that Trump would possibly act like this if there simply isn't any information and he fucked up and overpromised. Yeah, it's simply possible. The narrative and the notion that we've all assumed that this whole story is bigger and goes deeper than it is a very, very risky idea. Because on the one hand, it's exactly what the perpetrators would try to make us think. But on the other hand, it is plausible. We have to consider both sides. We have to keep our eyes open to both sides. We don't want to jump at shadows. We don't want to be so hyped up on the possibility of psyops that we see psyops everywhere, even where they aren't. Now, that said, I still think this one is pretty much what we think it is. But it's possible that we've overestimated some aspects of it in some small ways, that some things are not exactly as we thought they were. And I do think, as Ravelon is saying, there's no reason they would leave this evidence in US government control. Hillary had her own private email server. For example, it's not difficult to keep this yourself. If you had access to blackmail material that could be used to control politicians, why would you not just store it somewhere personally that you can? Why the hell would you put it on government servers? It doesn't make any sense. So I think it's quite possible the US government just never had it in the first place, or certainly didn't when Trump got in power. I have heard of the Finders case. Naughty words. I've forgotten details about it. I did look into it at some point. The notion that I think I vaguely remember this. The notion that large-scale child trafficking for paedophilia rings happens and is well funded by some of those powerful people in the world is almost certainly true, and no denial from me there. And that it's used for blackmail, almost certainly true as well. But that doesn't mean the US government has access to that information. I wish Trump would have come out and just said, like, here's what we have. I'm sorry it's not what you wanted. We are going to pursue this to the ends of the earth. We will find everything. I think that would have saved the face. That would have saved the optics. It would have been, his base would have liked that. Why didn't he just do that? If that's the case, I wish he had. Cannon Fraser says, did you see the latest Tucker Carlson interview? The things about Bill Barr's father giving Epstein a job without qualifications and such. No, I have not seen that, but that's interesting. A ghost says, you maniac, you actually went and streamed. I so did. Dog says, they are the swamp. Which ones? So says, everything makes sense if you understand that Trump is one of them, apart from why bring it up. He literally said he didn't want to release any information even before he was elected. I don't think he said that, no. Maybe we're thinking of different things there. But the notion that Trump is one of them is a possibility we are to consider. As I said, like, there's many things here that we might not be prone to consider. We do have to keep open to. And the notion that Trump is a jobber is one of them. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. Roland says it's a large part of the cause of every other issue, if not the root cause. You either mean the paedophile ring or Israel, in either case, I can agree with you at least somewhat, yes. Bruno says, I've said this before, wait this out. It's a chaos of information and speculation. Right now, yes. I know a lot of you want to conclude, and I understand that. I'm tempted to myself. And I've said this before, but I think Trump has earned at least a little bit of time to consider the information and come to a conclusion when there's more available. Everything else he's done has been fine, with almost no exceptions. There is a few things that are really almost all to do with Israel, by the way. Really questionable, but the big things have been good. So even if he does nothing about Epstein, it's still going to be a positive, and we can push for it further in future. Geddev says, could be the standard "we will kill your family" kind of thing. And yeah, you probably said that before I said that. Skog says, I hear that the FBI are scrubbing Trump from up to 100,000 docs that they're rushing through, but the usual keeping bags of salt. I don't think so. Like, Trump, every single thing we've ever seen from Trump, as far as I know, indicates that, yeah, he does some sketchy business stuff every now and again, but he's not a degenerate. He's not, he doesn't have any weird vices. He's not evil. He's very narcissistic, very money-driven, but he's not a bad person. And he's smarter than he looks as well. Demon says, most people don't find it to be the most important. That's why Trump's numbers have gone up, even with this one. They have. We have a thing on that to cover later. Trump's numbers have actually gone up with this, which I don't even know why. But it's kind of like when a lot of us expressed genuine concerns about the way Farage was acting. It didn't really hurt his poll numbers much. His poll numbers are higher than they've ever been. Ultimately, these are kind of niche concerns. And while they do disappoint some of his leading fans, most of his base, you could be disappointed about this, but they're concerned more with the overall picture rather than a few issues. And I agree, this is a big deal. It affects the overall picture. But they just like that Trump is the one who will do the things they want. Farage is the one that will do the things they want. The issues with their character and with their display of a lack of principle on occasion are the kind of things that we are to care about, but most other people don't. It does. What we do, though, affects what happens in future. It's just slow to filter down. So keep at it, chat, but don't expect the normies to always follow you. It takes time, but this is the way evolution has deigned our society is to be structured, so let's work with it. Ravelon says, simple explanation, his ego does not allow him to publicly admit he fucked up. Yeah, I do like that theory, actually. Ezio says, I'm willing to pull that trigger, but I'd have to ask my family if they're on board. I'm not sure which trigger you mean on that. Sorry, I'm sure this is something I said a few minutes ago. Ken Fraser says, I was optimistic regarding Trump, but now I am sure that we will just get Bush Jr. term 3 and then he will be swapped out for a sensible Democrat, so it will be Obama term 3 and 4. I'm more optimistic than that, but less optimistic than I was. I do think that I would like to see him do more positively definitively, actively about election fraud, because if he solves that issue, then the Republicans won't lose next time. Yes, as evidence had to exist at some point, and yet there is no investigation into punishing people that hid, destroyed, etc. said evidence. Yes, I can believe they don't have the evidence right now, but where is it? What happened to it? Things don't just randomly dematerialize themselves. No, but it's spread across very secret servers hidden in various places across the world. Like, if as far as I think of it, there's 3 levels of security to be concerned with. 1 is hiding it from random punters. 2 is hiding it from corporations, big ones. And 3 is hiding it from governments. 1 is quite easy. Most of us can do it. 2 is somewhat challenging, but if we put effort to it, it can definitely be done. 3 is much harder, quite close to impossible in most cases. You've got to be an expert to hide things from governments, and often it's not worth trying. The people we're talking about here, they eat number 3 for breakfast. That is the information that, if any information in the world, that is the information that you would hide from governments, and they are the people who should be able to do it. So there's no reason to assume that Trump has access to that information. That a client list, as we think of it, i.e., the list of people that are being blackmailed, that ever existed in US hands. Now, why did they say it did? Well, did they? The term client list has been interpreted to mean different things. What Pam Bondi released, which was the contacts list with the redactions, which were pointless because it was already leaked, that's probably what she meant by client list. Now, I'm not trying to defend her here. I'm just thinking, what is a plausible explanation for how this could have happened? Another plausible explanation is they're covering it up. Yes, but that's a bit simple. I'm trying to come up with other ideas. It's plausible that that was what she thought of as the client list, and that was released. And then she said, there's more. I'm looking through it. As it turned out, that was just 600 hours of child porn, which probably scarred fuckloads of government workers, not even bad ones, most likely. And there was nothing in there. As I said, everything that she said, some of it's poorly communicated, but I think it is plausibly true. And I think it's not too hard to see it being the case. I think Ravelon's theory that Trump is reacting this way because he overpromised and there wasn't as much data as he thought there was, and he can't admit it. That's quite possible. Other than that, he's probably compromised by something. There has been an update, of course, since that. He has now reneged. What is it? Back down a bit on his stance to just forget about it. And he has started saying, we'll release more information. They're going to release all the information from the grand jury hearing. I'm not sure what the word for it is. We'll get to that later. So there is more coming. But if he didn't release it before, it's probably not that useful information. But it does look to me like they're releasing everything they can. But of course, they could still be covering it up. Keep an open mind on that, chat. Someone says, yep, that shit was buried years ago. I suspect so. JDev, one second. Weird. JDev says, it's likely that they thought there was more usable evidence than there was after promising the world, so to speak, and then they were like, well, we're fucked. Yeah, they should have just been honest. There was no way of covering this up. Now it looks like they're fucking complicit. No, they should have just been honest about the state of the evidence. They should have come out and said, I'm sorry, this is literally all we have. This is all that there is. And then explain, like, no, it's perfectly possible they would be able to hide this. Why would you store it? Just say what I said. Like, it's not that hard, Trump. But again, he has a complex ego. And I don't think this is 4D chess. 4D chess is one of the distant possibilities, but I don't think it's likely. Toss a nickel into the Corinne was a right to jars as ghost. Oh, hey, he's almost made it to 10 cents. These days, it should be easy to be right every single time by being pessimistic. The fact that Corinne actually gets things wrong quite a lot more these days is a good sign for the world. Vil says, yeah, the government of the public doesn't have it, but the Illuminati does, probably. Whatever you want to call it, shadowy organizations that have more power than governments. Yeah, basically. But I suspect it's more so that it's been a bit of a rat race to grab this blackmail material for each individual person to have it and control it as the whole Epstein thing falls apart. But if Epstein was allowed to fall apart, there's another core to the pedophile ring that we don't know about. Unfortunately, that's probably the case. I don't know where it is. Bluebell Fleur says, you forgot about Ukraine. Do you mean in terms of disappointing policies that Trump has? Yes. The Ukraine thing. He hasn't been as bad on Ukraine as I expected, actually, and he hasn't been as bad on Ukraine as Biden was. But he has been a bit too generous. It probably would be viewed as a failure of the US foreign policy if Russia takes too much of Ukraine. So I kind of understand where he's coming from, but still. He did try with the diplomacy as well. I was wrong. I thought the diplomacy would be over very quickly, but it wasn't. It still isn't. The news won't cover it with any honesty, though, would they, Siskov? Well, no, you're not going to get anything from the news. We have to do that ourselves. So it says, maybe I'm misremembering it from when it was, but you don't remember there's a lot of phony stuff in there. You don't want to ruin people's lives. Comment. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not sure what you mean. Trump pulling the trigger on ousting all the corrupt politicians under threat. Yeah, I wish he would. Like, people have said, if doing so would cause the US to collapse, then it deserves to collapse. I would not go that far. Survival comes first every single time. I would rather have the current status quo than anarchy. Not just because, anarchy is unpleasant, people will die, all that stuff. But no, if the US degrades to anarchy, every other country in the world will try and take it. And yeah, no matter how many people in the US have guns, it'll slow them down, but it will still be a horrible time. There will be some sort of reformation. The US as a thing will not die, but it'll be a really tough time for a lot of years. And some of you will be okay with that. I don't think it's the right path. If you can space out the reformation over slightly more time than the 10 minutes it takes to read out the list, then you can get survival and your principled answer at the same time. Every good and powerful thing has dirt. This dirt it's gone too far in the modern day, but it doesn't mean that you fucking bleach it to death just because there's too much dirt on it. It has to survive. That's the priority. I would expect it to be a literal comprehensive list unless they suddenly receive brain damage when it comes to communication. There has to be something. I suspect, what they've released what they have, but I don't know. The fact that they didn't imply is they're complicit. What was that about? I'm not sure what that was in response to. Dog says you don't get thousands of known victims without evidence. So I'm sure there's evidence somewhere, but I can believe it was hidden from the US government, deftly. Which says then there's also the fact that Trump recently said the quiet part out loud regarding the letter to Epstein and how politicians are able to directly suppress news stories like how he tried to. Yeah, and that's fair. It's right that they be able to do that only for the highest national security purposes. You can argue it's not right they can do that, but at least I will say that you can argue it is. It's arguable that it is okay to do that. I'm not necessarily saying it's right that Trump tried to squash the story. However, as far as I know, the letter was completely fake. And of course it was. So Trump just saying, this is libelous, stop. Maybe even trying to invoke president's authority because he knows it's libelous. Maybe that's okay. Either way, you can sue them, probably. Vil says Uranus is entering Gemini. That's very personal information, Vil. Quartos is referring to what you said about how all they needed to do was say that they thought they had more than they did. Yeah, and it's concerning that they didn't. But as I said, people are rarely that straightforward, and there's probably loads of factors we don't know about either. Yeah, Uatu, exactly. How the fuck are they here? Those are my boys. Or just as there's absolutely no reason to believe that during the making of Episode 4, or Star Wars as it was just called then, that they had any idea that the man behind the mask made those droids. That was completely after the fact. It wasn't until making Phantom Menace they had any conception that they were going to do that. I bet they didn't even think, oh, that would be cool at any point during development of the original trilogy. Or just as either way, they keep fucking up their wording to a catastrophic degree for everything surrounding this. Yeah. It's close to beyond explicable merely by, conventional means, which is why I think it's quite possible that he's compromised. But I do think Vavilon's theory is definitely plausible, that it's just ego issues. And again, there's always going to be more factors behind the scenes we don't know. TD Random says, how did you know Uranus Tonight was my politics Twitter handle and I am a twin? Of course, Gemini, the twins. TD Random, I don't recognize your name. Are you in the Cabal Discord server? Because lots of other people are. Join cabal.oozloo.net or discord.oozloo.net or cuck.shortfastotaku.com or what was it? Just go to where'sy11.com. There's a link on there as well, if you can spell that, if you're familiar. Also, cabal.racism.africa will also work. Oh, it's Tanuki Cutie. Okay, fair enough. Quattro says, I want to believe they're good people, but in my experience, they almost never are good people in government. Yeah, it's true. However, some amount of that is the extremely high pressure requirement of being in charge, especially when there are secrets you have to keep. The leader of any nation is sort of a sacrificial pressure nexus. Everything comes in on them. All that pressure from the nation, all the strife in the nation comes in on them, both from above of people that have very high security jobs and deal with stuff that can't be revealed to the public, and from below, the masses of the public that want to know stuff. It all comes in on the leader. So that could cause almost anyone, even the most stable person, to do nonsensible things. Even Trump, I could see it at the worst time that could happen. So I get it. I don't like it, but I could understand it at least. What are you doing? Don't you know only Ted can invite people, says Ghost. It has been the case for a while. What, are you slackers going to let him get away with being the only one that's invited new people to Cabal? It's not quite true, but this is most of them. Ken says, may I ask, from what I gathered in the few months I watched your content, you seem to be a champion for democracy. I happen to be black-pilled in this regard and think that policy just happens regardless of the people's will. That has become more so the case these days, but it's not supposed to be. I'm German, for example, and you probably know how our rulers are treating us. There seems to be a race between our governments whether who can be more cruel to their citizens before we reach a breaking point. The question is, would a wishing for a Caesar be so unreasonable? At a time like this, it's normal, and I could see it. Someone with good intentions and a strong will becoming dictator for a short time, that's quite normal in history. It's happened a lot to save societies, but it's not the fault of democracy. Democracy is the most stable system. It lasts a long time, and even under the kind of massive corruption we have today, it still churns on. What you need to restore it is either a massive popular movement, which we kind of have now, which it's possible this could work, or some sort of military coup or dictatorship rising up. I'm not saying I want those two things, but they are better than the death of our societies. So this can be solved, I think, in most places, democratically. But the problem, Ken and Fraser, and this is the really important part, the problems with our societies are because of the lack of democracy. They are nominally democracies. But the people who have power have learned to basically just ignore the will of the people, even though it's supposed to be applicable, such that democracy just isn't democracying. It's democracy in name only. Much like, someone wearing the skin suit of something you like doesn't make the thing you like worse. Star Wars isn't worse because there's a sequel trilogy. The originals are still great. Star Trek isn't worse because of Discovery. The originals are still great. Etc., etc. All those shitty remakes, they don't make the original worse. This shitty, deformed version of democracy, which is barely democracy at all, it's just called that. It's really oligarchy. Does not make democracy worse. What we need to do, the problem is a lack of democratic and classically liberal, meritocratic, nationalistic principles. It's not the principles that are the problem, it's their lack that is the problem, and we need to restore them aggressively. There's nothing about classical liberalism that has to be soft or wimpy. Classical liberalism requires, in my opinion, a very strong order, for one thing, strong military, strong principles, and ethnic homogeneity to a large extent as well, especially cultural, but even racial. Hopefully that was a sufficient answer for you. I'm not saying, a lot of people misrepresent the kind of thing I'm saying as the belief that voting just instantly fixes the problem. No, the problem is currently that voting doesn't do enough. It's not powerful enough because they've learned how to cheat the system to get around the measures that are supposed to work. And yet, even still, it can work. It can be effective. It's going to be slow and difficult, but that is how you fight a war. You don't expect to just win moment one. You don't expect to be able to throw away everything you are, burn it all down, and suddenly be powerful, be more powerful for it. No. Your enemy has bastardized what is great about you. Greatest societies in human history by orders of magnitude. Our enemies have bastardized what makes them great. We are here to reassert Western civilization, not to burn it down because its name has been abused. We are here to reassert it, restore its greatness, and then make it even greater. Yes, as regarding the sequels and prequels, they do make the original worse. They change the context around established events very often. No, they don't. No, Pierre. That's only if you consider them to be canon. They are not canon, as far as I'm concerned. Every person defines what is canon for them. That is true, by the way. Who defines canon? Everyone. For themselves. It's an abstract concept. Of course it's individual. But most people will defer to a perceived authority figure on the matter, usually the creator or the rights holder or whatever else. Why the fuck would you defer to Kathleen Kennedy and modern Disney? No. Star Wars comprises 6 movies and a few other little features. 6 movies. There's a few other things as well. There's Clone Wars, The Clone Wars. There's some other good stuff too. But it's 6 movies, primarily. There's not 9 movies, it's 6 movies. Those other 3 were an anti-fan fiction. It was more so propaganda than it was Star Wars. The first one was not terrible, but really fell off a cliff at that point. Toast says, where has it worked in the first world? Basically, we have started a war, and we haven't won yet, so Toast is asking, why even fight? It's utter cowardice, and it's the kind of level of patience I'd expect from a 4-year-old. It takes time. If you expect to be able to win instantly, this is not the realm for you. If you are a 15-second North American pavement ape, then stop getting involved in processes that always take years of hard work, perseverance, persistence, attrition, victory through 1,000 little acts of exemplary behavior. Do you think it can just happen in one election? Democracy is not the guarantee of good candidates. It is just the way that people can express change. That when a society, as a collective, as an entity, is in the wrong direction, feels that there is something wrong, it will gradually have a mechanism to repair itself. That's why I advocate for universal suffrage. Because if everyone can vote, then you don't get any sudden spikes towards one direction because one group somehow managed to be cancelled out. If you have any sort of elitist voting system, any group that's cancelled out becomes unrepresented, and then everyone else has way more power than they should. It just becomes completely unbalanced. Almost any way that you could come up with an elite system will do that. Universal suffrage is not nice. I'm well aware that a lot of people aren't smart enough to vote sensibly, but I trust them to vote better than I trust our masters to say who can and can't vote. 100%. Every time. So as much as you might like to hear it, universal suffrage, classical liberal democracy is the most stable government system for the modern world. Now, you can go back and look at monarchies which lasted a lot longer, but consider how much slower the rate of technological progress was back then, and how much less free people were. Yes, people point to markers of how their lives were better. There are plenty more of how they were worse. Even women, says Ghost. Yes, I can see the argument against it for sure. And the thing with men and women is that is one divide which is slightly more justifiable, because it's not likely that women are going to be just cancelled out of the process because men love them so much. which is why I would say that the only kind of elite voting system that I think could work is family-based or household-based, which does usually just end up being, one man, one vote. It's difficult to do it any other way, but something like that could work. But then if someone becomes, schemers in government will work to make sure their political opponents become homeless, even if it's only technically homeless. And then they won't be able to vote. And they'll win every election. You get a sudden spike off in a direction because one group was too disenfranchised, just a bit too disenfranchised, sudden spike of policy in one direction. Everyone says it is a lever to fix shit. Yes. Well, it's a lot of levers. Just because it's rusted and unlubricated does not mean it's better not to have it at all, like the Russian case. True. Go says, what would Kabal-chan say? It's a good question. We could ask her. But the weird thing is, since we started the stream, her responses have been way worse than before the stream. Did I load the wrong model or something? No, it's the one I had before. It's another one I was using earlier. Is that the same one? I think it is. Check that and then load the one I think it is. I think it's the same one, yeah. I don't think I changed the model. Are you saying that streaming made Kabal-chan gay? Not gay quite, but worse. Stick Puppy says, democracy in a diverse society is just which ethnic group can oppress the others. Until the West stops being divided by foreign ethnic groups, we won't ever have democracy again. It's why all the corrupt, tyrannical politicians in power support the mass immigration of different ethnic groups and women. There's a lot of truth to that, honestly. Sig Puppy, I am in the position of agreeing with you to a large extent, not necessarily entirely. Democracy is probably still the best system even for a diverse society, but it certainly has weaknesses where, like, demographics are one of its weaknesses, yes. One of the only ways you can actually overcome democracy, by just importing people that have shitty beliefs. And it's not even that they have shitty beliefs, it's that they don't follow the sort of pressure dynamics of the society they're in. They just have a fixed set of beliefs they ardently push for as a collective. And a lot of foreign groups are like that. Most actually are like that. That's why I said earlier, ethnically homogenous. Ethnically does not have to include racial, but it usually will. The cultural part is for now, and it also helps for the future, but the racial part is a more long-term guarantee. Quattro says, it's because we love women that we must protect them from their own voting retardation. Yeah, I'm so on that one. There certainly could be problems with removing the vote from them. Not just in sympathy, but of course there's no political will to do that. I mean, actually, there's some, just not nearly enough. Hello, Clovey. The deep state is Kimura Sensei. Wait, what? I have no idea what that means, Duyuki. I am afraid to say. Clovey is still kitten, by the way. Chat, perhaps it's time to make a nigger monster kitten. Perhaps it's time to make Glussy or Glussy Mathussy kitten. Where has Matthias been recently, by the way? Anyone know? He says, look at what diverse democracy led to in Rhodesia. Every time foreign ethnic groups get power in a white country, they will always impose systematic genocide on whites. Yes, that probably happens regularly, like pretty often. The balance is quite narrow on democracy usually, so it could be manipulated if just a large portion is voted, which has probably been the Democrat policy. The Democrats have used so many tricks to get enough votes. If they dropped all the tricks and just proposed their policies as is, and the Republicans did the same, it'd probably be at least 60-40 for a few years. But yeah, I think probably you are pointing at specific examples. They may not represent all possible examples, but I'm sure that they do represent some. However, if they had the military force, they could do the same thing. If we're talking about savagery, it's possible. But of course, democracy would allow them to do that without military force. But usually they have to be smart enough to achieve it, or they just have to appeal to a collective will. So yeah, that certainly can be a problem. Which is all the DEI shit, mass immigration, financial bullshit. Women voted for all of it because they outnumber us men. Only by a small amount. Do they outnumber men? But yes, women do tend to vote more leftist. Did he finally snap and hunt down a bit? Perhaps. Which is as if it wasn't for the literal terrorist acts that the early feminists committed, we never would have listened to them and been put in this position. True, but it was probably going to happen anyway. Yes, they were actual terrorists in many cases, but probably was going to happen anyway. Clover, what's your opinion on women's suffrage? Should women be allowed to vote? Ghost says, her Matthias hasn't posted in Cabal for 2 weeks. Last time he was gone this long, it was Lent. Yeah, it's a bit concerning. I hope that he hasn't just decided to leave the server because I changed the decay rate of the topic popularity board. Bobby says, yes, but only if they're not idiots. But how do you judge that, Clover? Like, how do you determine that? Sick Puppy says, there is no example where whites became a minority and then whites don't, and the non-whites don't genocide them. If there is one, please show me. That's probably somewhat self-selecting. You could certainly have examples where whites are not a minority, but are a much smaller proportion than they used to be, and yet don't get genocided. But I don't know if there necessarily would be. In cases where whites become a minority, you probably have a pretty militant collectivist group in their nation anyway. So, as I said, somewhat self-selecting. And you're not wrong, Sick Puppy. You may be going too far with some of this, maybe exaggerating a bit, but you may not be. Problem is, a shitty country is a reflection of the people. Import those people into society without assimilation, and they will make the new place just as shit. Yes. For example, in the UK, I believe our policy should be any immigrant that's come in since the year 2000, gradually going back further and further, starting from the last 5 years, then back and back, should be deported along with their families, not inhumanely, unless they become violent. But I don't even mind where they get deported to. This is about survival of our nation, one of the greatest nations in the world. It's about survival. It is a desperate time. We do not need to genocide them or kill them or whatever else, but we do need to get rid of them. We do need to deport them. It is not sensible for a country to do what we're doing. Even evolutionarily, there's almost no example in evolution where multiple disparate populations combine together and then thrive in so doing. Now, what you can have is small influxes, small impurities of foreign selected for DNA that mixes in, and that's actually good to some extent. When it's by choice, when it's meritocratic, when it follows evolutionary principles, it's fine. You do need a bit of mix occasionally. But what we're doing right now is just insanely worse than that. It is sabotage. So it does need to end by not quite any means. Well, actually, yeah, pretty much any means. If it's about survival, pretty much any means. Start just, if France, if you didn't want them, you shouldn't let them through. So you can have them. There you go. Hey, it's a gift. Diversity is your strength, right? It's just not ours anymore. We decided to let you have our strength. So here you go. Have a trillion browns. Do you have any idea, if we did that, if any idea how much more prosperous, not just the UK as an entity, but every individual in the UK would be? Your salaries would double. You'd be flooded with job like requests to work with someone. Every job application you send, you'd get an interview. There'd be houses for dating. I mean, you probably cause a lot of economic issues with the various markets, but there'd be houses everywhere. There'd be just empty houses that are practically going for nothing. Your rent would probably drop to 2/3 of its total if you're renting, if maybe lower than that, etc., etc., etc. It'd be just because we've built up our infrastructure to handle so many more people than we have, that if we deported people who really should not be here in the first place, it would be a massive golden age. Problems could come from that, of course, but that's the kind of thing that we've done. This is the whole thing about adversity builds character. We've been going through some hella adversity, but if we recover from it, we will actually have a much stronger society, at least for a while. Quacha says, why would you even want to assimilate shitty people at all? Foreigners who are well selected for in small numbers, that's quite doable, but not this. Ghost says, a golden age? If only there was some kind of cabal to prompt such a golden age. Ah, you see, Ghost, there is. You're in one. But who will serve us coffee at Pret? Says Matt. Students. Joe says, I'm incredibly confident we could mount a plausible effort to repeal the 19th by convincing women that the suffrage means suffer. Maybe. Revert to landowners. You said that twice in the last few minutes, Tanuki. There are definitely problems with that. As I said earlier, if you filter someone out of the voting process, it will converge towards them being oppressed. And it's not just a matter of sympathy. They're part of the country as well. And the country is more healthy when every part of it is working at its strongest, when every part of it is part of the selection and meritocratic process. Which is why a free market works better than an aristocracy. Because in an aristocracy, a small number of people are doing the selection. Now, in the past, that made some sense because serfs were cattle too dumb to select. But the aristocracy were deemed intelligent enough to select. In the modern day, you can argue that's somewhat true, but it's much less true than it used to be. And our societies have become massively prosperous in many metrics because everyone takes part in that selection process. We don't want to lose that. And so if you have certain people that are not involved, not only economically, but culturally and socially, that selection process becomes extremely biased. You end up with a much slower moving, much more aristocratic and probably oppressive society as a result of just closing some people out of the franchise. I don't think it's a good idea. And who will cook the kebabs? Nick, we have the recipe. We have the recipe for all these things. We do not need the locals to cook it. In fact, what is chicken tikka masala, chat? That's right, it's not an Indian dish. It's based on Indian cooking styles, but it is a British dish. I think it was created in Britain. Yes, in the style of Indian food, but it's literally invented by the West. And if you've been to China or India, I went to China when I was younger, the food there is not 100% different than the Chinese food in the West, but it is different. Arguably not as good. It's up to us now. We have their recipes. Let's just make them better. Make them better than they can make them. Yeah, it's fine. What countries you thought were going in the right direction, not complete victory? I did phrase that badly. Okay, fair enough, Toast. What I said should not be deemed as only to you. It's something that frustrates me about a lot of people's attitude towards this. The US, despite this Epstein thing, the US is going in the right direction. Even some of Western Europe, some more than others, it varies, are, I wouldn't say going in the right direction, but there are definitely the beginnings of a recovery. I mean, that's been the case for several years. But think what you want about him. I know I've talked about this a lot, and I'm not going to go into detail again, but Reform UK is 7 points ahead of the second place party, looking to have over twice as many seats as the second place party in Parliament if there was an election today. That is the will of the people being reflected in the voting intentions. It really is just a matter of getting a party that they can vote for that will actually do what they want. Simple as that sounds, if you get that, you start to solve problems. Think what you want, whether Farage will do that or not. I think it's a better shot than anyone else available, so that's fine. Tikka masala is just bolognese, but Indian coded instead of Italian. Interesting. Go says, you want us to what? Read these recipes and cook them ourselves? Crazy though it sounds, I have cooked food myself, which is originally or based on recipes from foreign countries. I've made stir fries. It's one of the meals I actually cook. I cook the full English breakfast, which, as you can imagine, is English and probably very originally English. And I cook those, and I cook stir fries. They're the two main things I cook. There's a few other things, but the main things. Yeah, that's foreign food. She will confirm I do sometimes. Oozloo cooks, I have done so. The thing is, unlike some people, a lot of people view cooking as a passionate, important thing to do, and that's fine. For me, it's more of just, I need to eat something. So I now have to stop coding and go and cook. So I would usually eat something simple. I'd usually eat something quick to make, which I know is not the most healthy thing. But then sometimes I get bored of that, so I cook something. And actually, almost every single day, I cook a full English fry-up breakfast. So yes, I cook pretty often. Oozloo cooks foreign dishes that immediately revoke his citizenship. Oh no, that was quick. You've seen video of Oozloo cooking. I wouldn't recommend it. Those videos were deceptively edited. Right, next meme. Thank you, Discord. All right. Steam users obsessed with the pink horse girl sent so many kilograms of grass to the real horse she's based on, it broke the food donation website. It's very crowded right now, they say. And then we have some art here of exactly what that looked like. I'm not sure why I opened this story to read. It's very surreal. But again, it's very 2025. Welcome to the future, chat. Oh, of course, Ken and Fraser has a picture of the horse, the specific horse in question, just ready to go. This reminds me of the fucking, the return of Gura as Saba. It's good to see her and Ame doing things well again, though. It seems like Gura's hiatus from streaming was almost entirely because she just didn't like being in the corporate environment base, to be honest, and she's streaming again now. It's good to see Fauna as well, there as well. But my favorite group, VTuber group, has to be Mint, Snuffy, Lime. I'm not a big fan of Doki, but she's there as well. Chloe says, I'm glad I don't know who they are. Yeah, I don't watch VTubers much these days, but a little bit. Okay, that's all our memes for today. Let's go back to our news stories. Portrait says, before anyone asks, I have no idea what this is about. Lel, horse reactor. Horse reactor. So, actually, before we do that, we've been going for an hour and a half, and I did say this stream probably would be a shorter one. We've got about an hour before Quattro's event, so we'll be ending before that happens. I did say it'd be a short one. So, shall we do the thing? Atronach, do you have them ready? Shall I drag you on? He's ready. I will also say, Quattro, if you'd like to come on and defend yourself from these horse react allegations, you may hop in. Welcome, Atronach.
Are y'all ready for some AIDS?
Chat, today, Atronach and I are going to share AIDS. And in fact, we're going to share them with all of you. We just thought it was about time, that we really get going with AIDS. So, Atronach,
seems the wolf's trying to give me a different kind of AIDS, unfortunately.
Atronach, would you care to introduce AIDS for us?
AIDS is an invention of mine. Essentially, what it stands for is Atronach's Internet Drama Segment, where I will introduce and break down and give some history on some internet figures and things and whatever drama is surrounding them at the current moment in time. Because who doesn't love some good fucking slop?
Now,
I love me some drama slop, don't you guys?
When Atronach suggested this idea, I thought it's a great acronym. It's kind of worth it for the acronym on its own, actually. But quite often, I don't care about internet drama. A lot of these people I've heard of, a lot of you guys talk about some of the big creators and all the, what is it, the guy that got cucked and the guy that's fat and the guy that's even fatter. I generally don't care about what they do, but there are a few I care about, especially when it's something I know about. And the one in particular that has been a matter recently is Pirate Software, where I've been somewhat interested because I'm not too interested in people just being utterly degenerate wastes of flesh, which he probably also is. But what I'm generally interested in is the public discovering the truth about people who misrepresented themselves and were frauds, especially when it's fraudulence in a discipline I know something about, like programming. So the Pirate Software thing did grab a bit of my attention. So I'm hoping that Atronach has more information on it that we can talk through today.
It is on the list. There are a few things I would like to hit before that, just as a little introduction, at least. And there's shorter stories that we can kind of get through pretty quick.
And to a large extent, I'm just sitting here as the everyman who is not informed while Atronach talks me through all this ridiculous drama. So you can all experience it from the perspective of someone who knows nothing about it.
So, first of all, I like to go over this new news, I will promise you this is as a segue to things. So, we have currently an announcement. They are making a live-action Zelda movie.
They made Zelda a girl? How could they? This is wokeism.
Isn't it crazy? An actual biological female is playing Princess Zelda. Now, if you're wondering why this is a surprise, it's because for months before this, there was a astroturfed rumor that resident tranny Hunter Schafer, which I will get a picture of here that people have been using all over the place. This is a trans woman. This is a biological man known as Hunter Schafer, who, for all intents and purposes, has no business playing a woman. The reason people like this creature is because it appeared in a show called Euphoria on HBO. Nobody gives a fuck. It's girl slop. No one cares. There was a trans character. They casted specifically a trans dude, biological man, to play it. And that's like the only thing that he's ever been in. And people are like, oh, this guy looks, they, called it a girl, but this person looks so much like Zelda. They should play Zelda.
Got a few things to say.
And so
he passes better than almost all trannies, but you can still tell.
Well, that's the only picture they use.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, fair enough.
That is the picture they use all the time.
Yeah, okay. All right. You know how some, like Marcus, for example, had those stick-on plastic elf ears? Those are either really good stick-on elf ears, or they have had surgery on their ears to make them pointed. And given it's a tranny, wouldn't put it past them.
So let me see if I can find the the really gross image that essentially this is the creature all done up in makeup.
Everyone make sure you ping Marcus and congratulate him on his transition.
Here's a good one on the right. There's more of it.
Oh.
There's a reason they only use one picture of this thing.
You know what? Maybe they should praise the cameraman. Cameraman gets no love.
Yeah, they really trying hard to make him look better than he actually does.
And yet they picked this one. Now, what's crazy is that the main character of Zelda is male. So why have they chosen a female to play a male? This is wokeism.
And here actually is another one, which more so is, completely au natural.
Ugh.
What is that?
Somebody insert sorting hat meme, please.
I believe that.
Thank you, Spooner.
That was quick.
Male. So there's a reason they only use one picture of this guy. But all the leftoids are saying this person would be a great Zelda. They should have been Zelda. And when Nintendo and I think Miyamoto specifically announced the casting of the actual biological female as a woman, leftoids had a bit of a spurg out, as we've come to see. So
the Hunter Schafer fans are in complete shambles after Nintendo hired a woman to play a woman.
Pretty much. It's been really funny watching them seethe. And one of these people that seethed about this casting was, of course, our good old resident tranny, Brianna Wu. Oh, don't you just love Brianna? SFO community moderator, Brianna Wu.
New top gunt guard.
So he made this big long post about why this guy deserves to be Zelda and blah blah blah. Her fucking fan casting, all these nonsense. And I just thought it was really funny. We can take a look at this wall of text if you'd like. But essentially, it's the same old from Leftoids. They fan cast, they typecast, they try to bully people. Now they're probably going to send hate mail to this poor young woman who actually got cast in the role. And of course, comments locked because can't handle the discourse.
Mm-hmm.
You know why.
You know why.
So Brianna Wu thinks Zelda is at its best when it's a little surreal and weird, which is why she wants the woman to have a penis.
I'd like to also draw attention to the second paragraph here.
Yeah,
I've been playing Zelda literally since 1986 when it came out, and I feel very strongly that
that
Zelda
looks like a Wikipedia looked up fact, doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't it? It's a really
Very
bit, huh?
specific.
Gamers tend to agree with me. Do they?
Yeah,
Majora's Mask. Let's look at the spelling.
Do you know, that's a good point. That's a good point,
Majora's Mask.
That's a good
Do we have
point.
any Zelda fans in the audience? Do we have any Zelda fans that know about the game Majora's Mask? How do you spell it?
Yeah, there's no one in the comments
I feel like
mentioning
a fan
it, actually,
of the game
yeah,
would not get that wrong.
that's not just a minor spelling mistake. If that was about this, no, that's literally the name of the game that they supposedly love.
Super bizarre games with unsettling art. Yes, and Hunter Schafer is also very unsettling, and I think would have been better playing the moon.
That's a good point. The only things, I mean, I don't know the game very well, but even if it is full of unsettling art, Link and Zelda are normal human beings in that unsettling world. So you don't make them the distorted, disgusting things. But yeah, playing the moon, that makes sense.
It's some Dark Souls. Like, come the fuck on.
It's a fantasy world, and I get that, but that's not an argument. You know what else is a bit fantastical? Having a fucking BMW 390i in fucking Lord of the Rings. That'd be a bit fantastical, do you think? I think that'd be fantastical. Why not put it in? Why do you care if there are black people in Rohan? It's just a fantasy setting. It doesn't affect anything.
But you got to make sure that it has the optional subscription model heated seats.
Oh,
They got to
so
specify
true.
that too. They got to specify that. I mean, this reminds me of Sylvester Crystal actually embedding the advert into the movie.
It's pretty funny, isn't it? But he continues. The idea of a trans woman playing Zelda to me genuinely fits the version of the universe I love best. Hunter as Zelda would be cool and weird and sexy and beautiful and a little surreal. Why would it be surreal, Brianna? Why,
What's that? What's that? Transgenderism is all the fetish. That's weird. That's interesting.
Transgenderism is surreal, meaning above or not reality.
What did he mean by this?
As far as I understand,
surreal.
Most of the game isn't
definition.
surreal. They have surreal stuff in it, though.
Surreal, having the qualities of surrealism. Tilde, bizarre. Bizarre? Now, why would a transgender as Zelda be bizarre? There's a bit of a self-report there, Brianna.
Deviant.
I don't know.
Degenerate. These words mean very similar things.
That nobody asked.
Dysgenic.
Why are we even getting a live action adaptation of this? Nobody likes those. Like, Nintendo will act like this in the fucking meme here, but they go and do shit like this that nobody wants.
Well, it's clearly because
why they like this.
They saw what Disney's doing and they succeed. They saw what DreamWorks doing and it succeeds. Despite its awful quality. Well, no, the live action remakes have been pretty successful in terms, and especially with Lilo and Stitch, the live action version, as abysmal as that movie was, has been beyond successful. How to Train Your Dragon, beyond successful. The the basic average consumer is a slop enjoyer and they don't know what's good for them. And these movies are made for kids, let's be honest. And they don't know what's good for them either. Ergo, they want to make a live action Zelda. Don't know why it's not animated, seeing how the Mario movie made a bunch of money and was successful. But I guess they're going off the Sonic model. Who knows?
Let's see. That way, it would actually require them to give it some soul.
The Sonic movies are actually good.
Yeah. So hopefully Nintendo being at the helm of this will continue that trend. I mean, not that I really care. I'm not a big Zelda fan. But
I'm
the discourse around it has certainly been.
Oh, hey, you know that thing you like? It's getting a live action adaptation for some reason, even though nobody fucking wants one.
Well, to be fair, Zelda hasn't had a movie. It's only had games.
From it either.
I'm just waiting for the live action Spyro adaptation.
You're about 20 years too late for that, my friend.
They could do a live action Beyond Good and Evil. I wouldn't want them to do it today because they'd fuck it up, but that would be a great story for a movie. Thank you, Ren. Thank you.
They continue with this. The deluge of comments yesterday were flat out hateful and embarrassing. It's astonishing to me just how much people feel as if it's socially acceptable to say the most degrading, awful things to trans women. It is socially acceptable, and get fucked, Roasty. Your time is up. It's White Boy Summer 2025. You love to see it. Nigga highly.
The views of Atronach do not necessarily reflect the views of the entire cabal or of Oozlu himself. However, it is now White Boy Summer transitioning into White Boy Autumn.
No, this is AIDS programming, no affiliation. This is a very dark moment for trans women. It's being led by Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling and a well-funded right-wing project to push us out of public life. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to survive this. God willing, you won't.
On most topics, J.K. Rowling is cringe. On the trans issue, she's genuinely witty and incisive and kind of based.
She's been fucking phenomenal. Like, she's knocking it out of the park, like, consistently. I love J.K. Rowling. I'd never read the books. I watched the movies though, and I enjoyed them.
Yeah, they were all right.
But you know, if that's what feminism is like her takes the stances on things. You know what? By golly gee, I could get behind that. Good for you for standing up for not having men raping women in bathrooms. Good shit.
If her brand of feminism was the normal feminism, then we would have a much more stable society. I wouldn't necessarily agree with her, but it would be good to see that position reflected by someone.
Women would still be just as depressed.
Oh, I mean, I feel like her brand of feminism, apart from the third wave nonsense of it, is essentially just advocating for women. And you know what? As a woman enjoyer myself, I can understand that. Call incoming simp comments. Here they come. Don't worry.
I was more so going to go with, wait, you enjoy women? I thought we were exclusive.
Shh, don't tell him. I'm trying to act like a Chad for the boys. Okay, shh.
Right.
Don't let him know. But I do think there's value in the public seeing what y'all are, which is simply hateful, frothing bigots. Thank you for acknowledging our existence. I appreciate it. Our movies and television shows have people like you as the villains for the reason normal people don't like this behavior. Have you seen the result of the 2024 election? Because I think the vast majority of the public do like this behavior. These are the normal people that you complain about.
The simple one-dimensional villain that people like her who have infiltrated the realms of writing and have been inserting into all their stories are not actually that compelling as villains, and that's what she's saying here. The simple your simple one-dimensional villains, well, one, they're not. Some of them are acting like it. Some of them probably are. But the kind of villain that really gets people going is the slightly more nuanced villain. The one where you can feel the evil, but it's not quite obvious. That's what you are, Brianna. Because you wear the clothes of a good person, but you are far more evil than any of the, quote, frothing bigots who are disagreeing with you.
It's the insidious creeping, the shadowy figure from it's the Emperor, right? Darth Vader is the villain for the first two movies, and he is loud and powerful and impactful and intimidating. You don't know about the Emperor really that much until you meet him in the last one. You get a little glimpse of Vader talking to him in A New Hope, and you get some visions of him, some echoes of him in Return of the Empire Strikes Back.
You see him
And Return of
briefly
the
in
Jedi,
5, but he is in flesh in 6.
yeah, that's when you first see him really, and that's when we find out really that he's the mastermind behind all this. He's the true evil, and that is you, Brianna. That is you, the creeping, insidious evil in the background that pretends they have the good of the galaxy in mind, when in reality they just want to institute full-on tyrannical order. And it will not happen. Your Troons have been rejected by Nintendo. Get fucked.
Skinwalkers need not apply.
Astronaut,
Zelda will not have a cock.
I have to say, this is some good aids.
Oh, everybody loves some good aids.
Do you have any more aids for us? Chat, press 1 if you would like to receive some more aids.
I do have a little bit more aids. Right, one more story before we get to the pirate software stuff.
Sure.
So Lauren Southern is a fun little internet personality that I'm sure we all know about. Prominent during Gamergate, prominent in the anti-feminism stuff. Right? She was in all of the kind of the right-wing circles. Collab with Gavin McKines. Pretty sure she did a collab with Sargon. She was part of the Skeptics, kind of. She's been around. But lately, her reputation has taken a bit of a nosedive. After she married a fed honeypot, had a child, and had a divorce with him, has become a single mother, and in her her delusional stupor of being dumped like the grifting whore that she is, slept around quite a bit. There's been many stories about her finding her ways into the beds of quite a few men, and not all of those being just right wingers. Destiny has been a prominent figure that has Lauren has collaborated with, and allegedly been in a bit of a more romantic relationship more than once. However, she left the public eye for a while, and now she's back, grifting again, with a brand new book, a new memoir, as it were, in which she reveals that she was date raped by infamous sex trafficker and manosphere red pillar Andrew Tate. Oh boy, what a spicy story. So Andrew here replies in this tweet, 500 retweets, and I'll release the text of her begging for money for her company and begging to see me again.
Yeah, she tried to do this type of shit back in 2021.
Yes, she definitely did. She tries to hop on the bandwagon when Tate was going down. There's been a little bit of a rebound for the Tate brothers, but they are still universally mired for their doings. But it's quite funny that this is a claim that she's making now after all this time. And unfortunately, it's just a claim. It's a he said, she said. And the reason we know this is because parts of her memoir have been made free. You can obviously purchase it, but she has made parts of it free, and mainly ones like these more serious allegations involving Andrew Tate. It's just interesting that how much she goes around with these types of men. I wonder what is causing this pattern of behavior. Lauren, you're a bit more promiscuous than you initially had let on.
Yeah.
And are looking for any sense of relevancy, it seems.
I got the impression that she married pretty quickly, pretty urgently, and had a kid because she was following a sort of that sort of right wing idea of making a family, and a lot of women who were prominent back then in right wing circles did get criticism from some quarters, not all, that, well, surely your traditional beliefs would sort of reject you speaking out on this, especially because you are not in a family. And I think there's a little unfair, but there's something to it. So I think Lauren probably was pushed by that. I think I had that impression at the time that she felt pushed by that to get into a family. And I didn't know, as it turns out, she got into a family with someone who was not a good choice, which is sometimes what happens when you rush into things.
Indeed.
That coming.
Women definitely known for making the rational and informed decisions over long periods of time and not just going with what feels good at the time. Lauren Southern being the exception to this, clearly.
Certainly can go the other way,
she
though.
is. And on top of this, we have a nice little tweet here, further detailing what is in her memoir. Lauren Southern revealed in her memoir that she and Destiny were last together. They last met and hung out on the night of Destiny's infamous firefighter tweets. This was shortly after Trump's attempted assassination, where a firefighter was killed protecting his family. And of course, Destiny made some pretty disgusting tweets about that firefighter and his family, because he has no values and just hates right-wingers and Trump supporters. They ended with a cordial hug, but to Lauren, it was clear that an unbridgeable gap was informed. And in these screenshots, we can see a more detailed breakdown of the things that led up to that point. Whew, boy. Still hanging out with Destiny after all this time. She just couldn't get away. That pasty white liberal boy who loves sucking off other men. She couldn't get rid of that bisexual lust. That blue-haired bisexual lust.
Say perhaps she had a lust for AIDS.
That's true. She had a lust for AIDS. True.
Press 1 if you have a lust for our kind of AIDS. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It's almost worth it just for the acronym and the pun alone. I was very disappointed with Lauren Southern going this direction, and I only really found out about it sort of years after it happened because I haven't really been paying attention to her. But when I met her, I didn't get a bad vibe, but I didn't talk to her very much, just briefly. She did seem a bit miserable, a bit joyless. Nothing compared to Tim Pool's joylessness, though. It was just unpleasant to be around. But Lauren Southern, I thought she was fairly good, but maybe she was not. Maybe it's not right to say that she was grifting. She was just following a moment in her life when she had really strong beliefs, and then she felt betrayed by what happened in those beliefs, so she just dropped them and went the opposite direction, or just maybe had a bit of a mental break, or maybe she realized I can't do a family anymore, and I'm nearing the end of my 20s, so I'm going to have to do something to increase my relevance to pick a really, to get a much bigger pool to pick a really worthy male to start going around everywhere. But then that doesn't really explain the sleeping around. So I don't know.
No.
Can't really explain it.
It's a interesting phenomenon you see with female right-wing influencers, where they always kind of turn out to be less than what they appear. There's the Melanie Mack person who just turns out to be kind of a shill for Israel. And she claims to be like a Christian trad wife, sort of right-wing conservative woman, and it's pretty cringe a lot of the time. She's anti-anime, essentially fun, like men having hobbies in general. Lauren Southern has all the stuff with Destiny and Andrew Tate, and is a single mother. Tommy Lahren also just not falling into the practice what you preach sort of thing. It's rough out here for right-wing women, quote unquote.
It's hard out there for the e-thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know one right-wing woman influencer who's remained steadfast and stable for years?
Aiden Paladin. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, our girl Aiden. Shout out to Aiden Paladin. Love ya.
We're glad to give you aids as well, Aiden.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of aids for
Yeah.
you. Just post more content so we can grift off of that. But in these screenshots, you'll see if you click into them, there are a few bullet points here of the night that she met up with Destiny, which pretty funny. So she visits Destiny in New York for business. She meets with Ashley St. Clair, one of Elon's harem of women. Her and Destiny play mini golf. She wanted some advice, but Destiny was a bit cold to her, a bit flippant. She invited him up to an apartment to hang out before the wedding she was going to, and they had an argument. Oh no, trouble in paradise. So we have a detailed back and forth what they said. Destiny says, "You've read about the fake elector scheme, Lauren." "Yes, I've heard of it. Just never looked into it." He says, "What do you mean you haven't looked into it? But you'll spend hours digging into whatever sketchy thing Biden does. You'll care more about Hunter's laptop and some random Coke photos, but not a sitting president trying to overturn an election."
That's
Lauren,
not what it was,
hold
by
on.
the way, everyone. We covered it at the time. Technically, what they were doing was legal, and it wasn't Trump directing them either. It's because it was rigged.
Yeah, Destiny, of course, doing his patented debate bro. All right wingers are evil nonsense. They have no values, etc., etc. They're hypocrites. Blah 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 blah. Typical Stephen Bunnell III sort of stuff. Stephen says, "Maybe not you, but your entire side does," when in response to Lauren not caring about Hunter's laptop. He says, "Your whole movement has lost it completely. Honestly, I don't know what we're supposed to even talk about when we live in different realities. There's no coming back from this." He's essentially ending the friendship. Friendship ended with Lauren Southern.
Like, okay, just imagine your Destiny. You're very close to the ground. You've got blue hair and a reputation for sucking cock and being cucked. And you've got Lauren Southern, who wants to be friendly with you. And you're like, well, we have different politics, so fuck off. Crazy.
And Lauren kind of literally average leftist. Lauren brings it up. We don't have to talk about politics. It doesn't always have to go there. Your side has plenty of things that I think are delusional too, but I still see you as a person, as an individual outside of that. Very humanistic, Lauren. Let's see if Stephen reciprocates that sentiment. He says, "How can it not go there? This isn't some policy disagreement. This is reality. You get worked up over some surface level shit. When it comes to something actually serious, you shrug. You don't even want to know." And then while Lauren was out at the wedding, leaving Stephen away in the apartment, he makes his assassination tweets about the firemen. When she comes back, they had a fight over his phone. Lauren goes delete some of those tweets, and they had a wrestle and a fight over it. Eventually she leaves, and they ended it with a cordial hug. But an unbridgeable gap had formed, according to Lauren.
Okay, great disrespect for the way Destiny acted here, but he has no right to snatch his phone and delete his tweets. Let him make his own fucking mistakes with his own property, Lauren. You know, what fucking right do you think you have to steal his phone and censor his tweets for him?
Woman moment! Crazy ex-girlfriend moment!
These fucking fraudulent right-wing types, the second they get the chance to censor somebody, they immediately jump at the chance.
You could make that argument,
Lends a little more credence to the idea that she was in bed with him, figuratively and literally. Because what woman who is even just your friend acts like this? No, she feels she has the right to, because they have something more intimate. She fucked Destiny. She fucked him. She took that pasty boy to bed.
Well.
Did he have to have a booster seat, do you think?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there was a bit of.
He had to break out the ladder as well.
She had to climb up to Lauren's ass to cozy as his little blue hair in there, his little blue bush in there. Imagine sleeping with a guy who has presumably shown you videos of him sucking other men's cocks.
Most notably, Nick Fuentes.
Most notably, Nick Fuentes.
Disgusting.
And is currently embroiled in a lawsuit for revenge porn.
Mm.
But that is a story for another time.
And gay sex is disgusting, except when you and I do it, actually.
So true and real. But that is the tea on Lauren Southern's return.
Mm.
She'll be forgotten within a week and promptly discarded back to the nether where she deserves once again.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Banished forever.
Typical e-thought.
And finally, we come to the main topic. Our boy Pirate Software, which we will get into here. Let's grab.
Yes, it's me.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Pirate Software, well known for my excellent high-quality coding on a game that's taken 10 years to make no progress. It is I.
So, background on this guy. He appeared virtually out of nowhere as a streamer from his very popular YouTube shorts where he would explain things that he worked at Blizzard and did code and had his own game and would draw on MS Paint with his little boxes and explain about how he had his second puberty in his 30s. And that's why his voice is so deep. And he's most definitely, certainly not using a voice changer. Couldn't be. His reputation was up for a while and he gained 1 million subs over the course of about 3 or 4 months, I believe. Now, he started to decline quite a bit when, I don't know if people know much about World of Warcraft, and maybe somebody else could explain why this is such a big deal, because I don't fucking know about World of Warcraft. But he did something bad
You know who does.
during a raid, apparently, and everyone called him out on it. And he was always saying, I'm in the right, and could accept any sort of criticism. Began promptly banning people from his chat that would ban him, or that would criticize him. And this is where it all declined. A few months later, an initiative was started called Stop Killing Games. And this initiative was for a consumer-led initiative, so people who buy games would own their games forever, would kind of require companies to hand off their not the rights, but like the
Service
usage
software.
of their game. Yeah,
Or
to
something to that
communities.
effect,
Yeah, to communities to so that they could run their own servers. Not
At least they have an
requiring
end of life plan.
end of life plan for games that would no longer be supported by the developers or the publishers. Pirate Software staunchly was against this initiative. Why? Because he can't fucking read. He expected it to require live service games to devs to constantly be updating the game, doing a lot more coding work, and it's not what the thing asks for at all. He also said it would kill live service games, which, not true,
God,
but
I wish.
it wouldn't be a
them
bad
die.
thing. It wouldn't be a bad thing if it happened. But why would he defend this? Why would he go so far? Because he's developing a live service game that he does not want to do any more extra work for.
Mm.
So he
Precisely.
kind of, and this initiative wasn't doing super well at the time. It was only at a few 100,000 signatures and needed close to 1 million. And he kind of torpedoed it into relevance. Now, when confronted on this, when people started hearing what he was saying, what does he do? It's what he's been doing. He denies, he deflects, He says, I wasn't wrong. You were wrong. He does not only double down, but he triples down. And he makes a whole fucking statement, which we don't have to read here, but it is quite the girthy one. If you would like to kind of scroll through there.
Nice,
It's a bit-
thick, girthy statement. We all like a bit of a girthy statement every now and again, don't we? Second chat. All right, let's have that running in the background. Okay, it'll do that in its own time. Sorry, which statement do you want me to get up?
Just this full one. You can just kind of scroll through. The one you have up on the screen now. We don't have to read all this. It's him just trying to defend himself and doing so pretty horribly. Again, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the Stop Killing Games initiative was trying to do. And ultimately, it's just because he wants to protect himself and his future games. Here he links a screenshot from the Stop Killing Games initiative, where it says the initiative calls to require publishers that sell or license video games to consumers in the European Union or related features and assets sold for video games they operate to leave said video games in a functional, playable state. Second paragraph, specifically, this initiative seeks to prevent the remote disabling of video games by the publishers before providing reasonable means to continue functioning of said video games without the involvement from the side of the publisher. He misses the second paragraph, the last sentence, without the involvement from the side of the publisher. The initiative does not seek to acquire ownership of said video games, associate intellectual rights, or monetization rights. Neither does it expect the publisher to provide resources for the said video game once they discontinue it while leaving it in a reasonably functionable, playable state. Essentially, this just will require the games to be still able to be played after purchase with no further support from the devs. Not an unreasonable request.
There's a very strong argument that if you've bought something that is sold as a good, then it must not be possible to disable it later.
Yes.
And if it's a
absolutely.
service, I expect that there's other laws that apply to it, but they don't tend to sell them as services. If it's free to play, that's a bit different.
Right. But if you're purchasing a game, you should own it. You're not. But a lot of games will circumvent this by saying you purchase the license to play it or use it. There's a license agreement.
There's always legal issues with trying to say that as well.
Yeah. But if you kind of enforce this policy, then you wouldn't get that. And there would be a bit of a back and forth and, further, at least a discussion being brought to the table to own the things that you buy. That's all the people want.
Yeah, it is not.
In the absence of physical media, in a world where we're continually moving away from physical media, you should own the things that you buy.
It's not all that much to ask for the developer when they want to kill a game to just drop the open source server software. It really is not much to ask.
Right. Allow people to host their own servers, for sure.
Would imply the need to architect the server software in such a way to make it usable by the public later, which as a programmer I can tell you is not a trivial task, but I don't think it's too much additional work to ask for these AAA companies that are making these games. For one thing, it would either encourage them to make the server a little better, higher quality, so that then they can release it later and to everyone's benefit, or it would encourage them to stop making games that they can kill at any time, to focus more on releasing quality software rather than an ecosystem.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Just not making live service flop.
There are definitely a few wrinkles to this, a few little downsides, but I do think the upsides overweigh them quite significantly. So I do support Ross here.
So there is actually also a image that correlates with the pirate software effect on a graph showing when he got involved and when things started to kick off for Stop Killing Games. So
is it the one you wanted?
No, this is the one. So at the top we have, cumulative signatures over time. And bottom we have daily signatures first 2 months. You can kind of see where initially Accursed Farms publishes the video announcing this initiative. It kind of goes up, starts to plateau, but it's got that curve going to it. Pirate Software, the second part, on August 24th, August 2nd, 2024. He reviews the initiative on Steam, and his clips is the clip that is viewed is a million plus views, and you can see where the graph kind of comes up and dips down on the bottom there because of his opinion on it. His opinion on it really initially affected this initiative. He publishes a second video, 1.3 million views, and then publishes Stop Killing Games 2, 500,000 views, and basically reiterates why he wouldn't support it. And you can see it kind of fall and slowly die by September 2024. There's no longer as many daily signatures as is required. This picks up a lot later once people kind of figure out what's happening, and he gets thoroughly torn apart from it, which leads to that graph that we had there before. And we can go to sorry, just grabbing this part. And after he kind of gets kind of thrown for a loop on this one, he's kind of roasted by the entire community. He just says he's going to triple down on it. I think it's this first one. Yeah. This first video here.
What is this? Fucking 2 videos by the same person, both with the words "he's done" on the thumbnail. It's such a fucking laugh.
It's good for the YouTube algorithm for those fuckers,
sure
but I put it in the live chat there.
Naturally, why are you in these videos?
Why am I in the videos?
Guys, tell me that Coding Jesus is not just Atronach. He does look a lot like you. To be fair, I did watch those videos already, specifically because it was about the coding aspect of it.
Which is because he's vaguely brown.
He's not just because he's vaguely brown. He looks very similar to you. Anyway, you're not vaguely brown. You're extremely brown.
No!
I'm curious about the voice, incidentally. I'm curious if he is using a voice changer. And there's a clip here that you linked.
Yes, he is using a voice changer.
I have to peel it. Every good hot dog needs to be peeled. Every good hot dog needs to be peeled.
So that is his voice.
It's not as like high pitched and whiny as it could be. I think what he has there is a relatively normal voice, a little bit more high pitched than the average, but he's dropping it to be just below the average, or moderately below the average. So it still sounds believable. He probably is using just the best pitching software he can find, which is quite doable. But I reckon he is pitch shifting. Maybe he's deliberately speaking in a high pitched voice here. Maybe deliberately.
Well, there
are other interviews with him where
I did see another one. I did see one other, and it was a bit inconclusive.
You see, now that I've peeled the hot dog, it's ready to eat.
Look, a hot dog is
That's
about
right.
to be eaten by Thor.
It's ready to
Let's
eat.
demand he
That's not. Although that's a pretty good screenshot. It's not right, and it doesn't sound like he's deliberately up pitching his voice vocally here. So yeah, I suspect he is using a voice change.
Well, the claim is that he made he went through second puberty, and he his voice just dropped a second time. His balls are now at his knees, from the second puberty, and a doctor was telling him, "Oh yeah, this can happen to people. I've seen it happen to people before. You just you're gonna get more hair and all this stuff." And he's kind of said the story like a few times, more than a few times on his live stream, and that's a bit hard to believe. I think for most people, that's not a thing that can happen. I think in enough cases for it to be relevant here. The much more likely scenario, because he does all of his interviews and other stuff from his own setup. He's definitely putting on this voice for sure.
Yeah, I'd say so.
There is also some interesting lore about him as well, considering the his past. Essentially, he used to be a furry
past.
What was
So
it,
he still
Maldavius fig tree or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cringe.
What was the game Quattro that he role played on? Was it like Second Life or
Second
something?
Life.
Yeah, Second Life. He was a very notorious furry on Second Life.
Really saying something, because there were quite a few there. Still are somehow. I'm kind of surprised it's even still around.
Atronach, how have we managed to talk about two separate people that like to put wieners in their mouth in one age segment?
Well,
when
you're dealing with crazy degenerates, Pirate Software sucks. Pirate Software sucks. I have not seen this. This is pretty good. Hold on.
I haven't seen this yet either.
Whoa! This is baller information. My name is Lyric Wolf. In 2018, Jason Thorhall, Pirate Software, strung me along for love, money, and sex under the false pretense of a relationship. Oh!
Atronach loves drama. He loves drama.
He's a groomer!
Yeah.
We don't know if this guy was underage at the time.
No, there was that other underage girl that he was soliciting NSFW works from.
He claimed to not know they were underage, but I don't know how much that holds up in court.
Well, you see, what's interesting is that he met up with her in person.
Oh! He tried to rape!
The sudden outbursts of Atronach do not necessarily represent the opinions of Cabal or Uzulu, but it's not impossible.
Rapist! Lock him up!
But it's not impossible, is it? Shall we read a bit more
Is
of this?
butt pirate software.
This site. Turns up we could begin to speak by claiming he was not married, that I doxed him and I planned his entire situation. There's links to lies. Thor and Shaken on a new partner at the time, playing the victim and convincing Noah psychic doxing Thor of a misunderstanding. Why do they go along with calling him Thor? Why does anyone do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen, if he wants you to call him Thor, do not. That's the answer. Unless you actually respect him and want to retain his respect. Call it, as Quattro said, butt pirate software, or just pirate software if you're being, formal, or you don't want to pre-bias it, or Jason if you want to go for that. But I would always prefer to call someone by the main identity they present themselves with. So if he calls himself Pirate Software rather than Jason Hall, in most places I will use that. Yeah, it's a good point. Where is Dai? at Lady Di drama
This
and
is everything.
Atronach.
She does miss
You're
everything.
missing drama and Atronach.
No, I'll even push back my event for more of this.
Really? Oh, I should probably end now because it's
Nah,
get in the way.
fuck it.
How dare you make me work longer?
We'll finish up relatively soon. Yeah, I didn't know about this whole fucking thing. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you,
Atronach,
Triple.
there's new drama in my DMs.
There's new drama in your DMs. Oh boy.
I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, I hope you're not in absentia later. Yeah. This is a whole fucking story from a I think 20-year-old furry at the time that was emotionally abused and manipulated for sexual and financial gain. Whoa! Whoa, buddy! Whoa, buddy!
This does track.
So apparently this is a guy, right? Lyrical. I don't think they say their sex here. Get the wood, get the chipper, get the flamer.
You know that there was another minor that ended up pruning out after meeting up with him.
Well, this person is a furry. I don't know if this is the
from. There are many furries that he is associated with.
Fucking furries! I swear to God, they're always doing this shit. So they say on August 26th, 2018, they would make a large donation of $800 to this to Pirate Software.
He used to run a group of furries, and their objective was to make money using Second Life because they would make what were basically digital fursuits.
Wait, Lyric Wolf. Hold on. I feel like I'm remembering this name. Is this guy also a fucking like zoophilic faggot too?
I think that might be Caro you're thinking of.
Oh, Caro the Wolf. Okay, no, okay, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, look, I understand the confusion because
there's so many furries. There's so many furries, and they always say wolf something in their names. It's the most horrendous
either wolves
shit.
or foxes.
Chat, everyone look very hard at Wolf 576 in the audience room right now.
Please do.
Oh, no, this is a guy. Oh, this is an Asian faggot. He's a faggot. He's gay.
Yeah. I mean,
on his own website,
been long known that Butt Pirate Software is indeed a gay furry that you should not trust around ferrets.
Ferrets?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a ferret sanctuary, quote unquote, thing where he like rescues ferrets. They're just his pets. That he keeps in his house. He may or may not do sexual things with them. May or may not.
Is that the big speculate?
Yeah, that is the big thonk, considering his infatuation with them. Definitely a healthy obsession, considering his furry status. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know how these types are.
Wolf, why don't you slightly change your name so that you're not mistaken for a furry anymore?
So this website actually is kind of redonkulous. There is a plethora of messages here that do illustrate essentially what this guy is saying. Despite being a gay furry, Mr. Lyrical Wolf, we can see he is actually indeed a victim here, according to this document. quite a bit of what's the term? Financial was it Findom? He's begging for money. He wants to exploit him for money. The quote here is from Pirate Software is, "You've said a lot of wild shit since we met. You said you loved me. You said you would give me your entire savings, wanted to live with me, wanted to be with me forever. Now you're talking about hookups, even though they weren't hookups. And how you want to keep ERPing with a dude online, despite him being with someone and it being not okay for me and stopping us from moving forward." Oh, it's a bit damning. It's a bit damning right there. What do you think? What do you think, Quattro? It's a bit damning, huh?
Really makes you think.
It really makes you thonk how he wanted to extract all the money from this gay Asian twink furry boy.
Cannon Fraser has suggested a new name for Wolf 576, which is Wolf but not gay and furry 576. Yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to make people think that you're not gay and furry, for sure.
Definitely, that's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but on top of this furry nonsense, Pirate Software is also a nepo baby. That's right. He worked for Blizzard. And how did he get to work for Blizzard? His dad worked for Blizzard.
Well, not just worked for Blizzard, but basically founded the company.
Yeah, he was a founder of Blizzard. He's a nepo baby.
But, you know the South Park episode with World of Warcraft? The fat guy in that is based off of his dad. I shit you not.
Yeah, this is all true and real.
I was watching a video that was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much. I literally never talk about it. People come in a chat and they ask about it all the time, and then when I answer their question, everyone freaks out and is like shitting the bed over it. Like, I haven't worked there since 2016. Like it's literally been 9 years. The internet cares more about that than I do. And I left because their pay was shit and the environment sucked. Like, what? It's super weird, dude. Like,
all of that can be fact checked against his countless clips he has on his YouTube channel of him just rambling on about how great it was to work at Blizzard, how I banned so many people. It was a great place. You know, sad not to be working there anymore, etc., etc., etc.
This first commenter says he has tons of shorts with 1 to 10 million views that start with "When I worked at Blizzard," who would like to disagree.
That's true. He does indeed.
Certified true.
Certified true. I can grab you some.
I banned over 1 million accounts during my year doing that, which was awesome.
Damn.
I felt pretty damn good. And we used to have pizza parties. Every time we would do that, we'd go to Encore.
Guys, he's Console Hitler. How many of you have been in Cabal long enough to remember Console Hitler? Press 1 if you were there when Console Hitler. Because there's not really that many of you left now. I reckon it was probably 2021, maybe 2020. Carl Childers, who left Cabal a few years ago I think mostly over a dispute with Wares, actually, funny enough. He worked at Microsoft, and despite this being a very free speech server, he quite loudly and proudly declared that he had banned 7 million consoles during his time there. Now, if only he'd said 6 million, it would have worked a lot better, but 7 million is close enough. Because that was a sort of a console holocaust, we called him Console Hitler. He didn't like that name. He decided that name was not to his liking. Is it still in the meme system as Console Hitler? Yes, there it is. That's the screenshot. You can see it in Cabal. He eventually left Cabal over that and related things. Whenever I say there have been people in the past in Cabal's history who have been very financially generous, but who, when they made demands of me that were against my principles, I said no. He's a good example because he tried to put pressure on me to prevent people from being overtly racismus in channels. He tried to get me to prevent people from saying nigger in comments. And I said no, and then left the server. Now, he was one of those people in Cabal's history, I think, who was like a self-confessed Fed, i.e. he works now or has worked for the government. Not that they're here on a mission to infiltrate and ruin Cabal, but hell, as a Fed, if that's what he was doing, that's well in line with the profile. You make someone financially dependent on you, then you make just a little demand, just a little request. They do that, and then you keep making more and more requests, keep them financially dependent on you. The answer that I chose was to just say no, stick with the principles instead. Indeed, he was Pug. He was one of my largest donors. Yep, here's a... okay, literal. This is exactly the kind of thing I was looking for. Yes, thank you.
I was watching a video that was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much. I literally never talk about it. When I worked at Blizzard, I did that for Blizzard. Blizzard, 7 years, yeah. Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. You're red team specialist for Blizzard Entertainment. And Blizzard is having worked at Blizzard. I grew up at Blizzard. Blizzard. Game industry for Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard. Yeah, no, I worked at Blizzard back when I used to work at Blizzard when I was at Blizzard. For those who don't understand, I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. I know how to do that because I worked at Blizzard. Example of this when I was at Blizzard. How do you know so many things? I worked at Blizzard for 7 years. I don't think I'm better than other people. I do think that it's funny because you can that. There's a lot of people that brought that up. And it's like, I never said that I was. I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase. Sure. This gets misconstrued in as arrogance, but in reality, it's this.
Dr. K is right in what he's about to say, because that is arrogant. To some extent. Like, you can't just go out there in front of the public and then when they misunderstand you, blame them. Now, I may have been tempted to do that at times, but ultimately it's my job to communicate it. And it's his too.
That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro.
I actually am the first second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee ever. The first second-generation Blizzard employee. First second-generation Blizzard employee. So I'm second-generation Blizzard. I'm the first second-generation Blizzard employee that ever existed in the company. I'm also a second-generation Blizzard employee. I was a...
Is this nigga actually using a Blue Yeti? It looks like it. It might not be, but it looks like it. He's got the character up right there from South Park.
Second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee ever. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee. And I love that shit. I love that company. Working for Blizzard sucked, and I work at...
Yeah, bit of a weird contradiction there. You love the company and working for them sucked.
At Blizzard. Or I worked at Blizzard. There's me eating a sandwich. Yeah, that was actually at Blizzard. I think it was my first, I think it was 2009. It was me picking a safe. It was me cracking a safe in, at Blizzard. Your Blizzard stories are fake? Which Blizzard story do you think is fake? Would you like to talk to me or my dad that worked at Blizzard for 23 years that's currently in chat? Which one do you want?
He never brings it up.
Never brings it up.
He never brings it up. He never uses it as a flex or anything. He is completely innocent. He's a special baby boy.
Yep. Never brings it up.
He's a good boy. He didn't do nothing.
He didn't do nothing.
Wolf says, I think he might have worked at Blizzard. Yes, and as most of you know and are already saying, he was QA. He was not a coder. Now, I'll give my summary on his code. I've given before, but some of you probably haven't heard it. His code is not the worst I've seen. Not by a long way. Funnily enough, it's actually arguably worse than Yandere Dev, but they sort of vary. Different bits are better or worse. But the way Pirate Software writes code, it's if you are a fairly new programmer, you're writing a program that's relatively small and just you are working on it, then the corners he's cut, the amateur decisions he's made, the lazy and tech debt practices are fine. Not good, but fine. Acceptable. He's not. He's building a big game over a long period of time that he has said he wants collaboration on, apparently. But that's not even the problem. Even that would not be so bad, because as I say, I've seen much worse on even bigger projects. The problem, as far as I'm concerned, is that he is pretending to be good at coding. He is not. Either what he shows on his streams is just all the worst examples of his code, and all his good code's hiding somewhere else, or he's shit at coding, yet professes to be some kind of guru. He's not. He's bad at it.
I mentioned this the last time, but I believe he's only done about 15 minutes of actual coding during his streams in the last year or so.
People have said that. I find that hard to believe given how much he streams, but I'm willing to believe it.
He spends so much time either, bullshitting the chat or arguing with his chat and banning people.
Arctura says, but didn't you know he worked at Blizzard? Interesting notion. I hadn't considered that.
Wait, he worked at Blizzard?
Wait, he worked at Blizzard?
No.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, his dad works at Blizzard. He can ban your WoW account. I bet he said that at some point.
No, not my WoW account. My non-existent WoW account. No.
Atronach, you still play League of Legends. You have no room to judge.
I don't still play League of Legends. That's not true. It's not true.
Exposed.
I don't still play it. That's not true.
I did see
that's
that.
That's slander. That's slander.
When was the last time you played League of Legends?
January.
Bruh. That's close enough.
What do you mean?
The only reason you stopped. The only reason you stopped.
7 months.
The only reason you stopped, Atronach, is because of the fucking tag you've got on your name in Discord. Your new addiction that is such a powerful addiction that it's overcome your League of Legends addiction. But if that didn't exist, you'd be playing League of Legends right now.
That's not true. It sucks. I hate it. I don't want to play it.
Yeah, that's what all those smokers say.
I don't want to play it. I quit and you're shaming me.
So quit Rivals too.
No, but this game's actually fun.
I see. Is that what you were saying about LoL?
It's toxic as League. It doesn't have the reputation.
Yet.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. Eventually, we'll get there. If this game has the longevity that League has, we'll get there.
Overwatch players are starting to migrate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartbound.
If this game's around
Recent
for
reviews,
15 years.
Overwhelmingly negative.
Oh yeah, he got review bombed to fuck on Heartbound. That's like his own personal project.
Yeah.
There was a funny thing about that where because Steam does this thing where it will put a notification on a game that costs money if it hasn't been updated in 12 or 13 months. And they'll give you a notification that basically says, hey, this is probably like a payment trap. Don't, just if you buy it, watch out. So after that 13th month thing comes up and appears on his game, because he hadn't updated in 13 months, then he starts doing monthly updates on it to keep it relevant and refreshed and things like that.
It's a good choice by Steam, actually. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So that's when he started putting updates out for it again. And he got called out for that. And he's like, no, I was just back. I'm just, I wasn't working on it for a while. I was working on something else. And now I'm back to working on this game. Once again, accountability levels of a woman.
Indeed.
Yeah, so this guy got fucking brutalized from a very strong rise to fame, very quick and well run rise on YouTube to a immediate jump off a cliff. it's been so fun to watch. This guy is probably as looked down upon as DSP at this point.
The DSP of programming.
The DSP of Blizzard Entertainment, dude.
Well, no one's as looked down upon as Destiny.
True. He's gonna get.
He does have the literal cocksucking in common. You can't say that I'm wrong about that.
No, that's just real. How unfortunate. Yeah, but essentially, Pirate Software destroyed for his anti consumer stances, trash for his yandere dev like code, and trash for tripling down and not being able to take any sort of accountability. And that is where he currently stands. A lol cow, not in the making, but in the reality.
Always has been.
And thus is his legacy. I think people just didn't know about the furry stuff when he was kind of coming up under the new moniker of Pirate Software, but his controversies has just gotten him into whole heaps of trouble. He just it was one thing after another, just completely really snowballed into oblivion.
You know where the name Pirate Software came from?
From pirating games, I would imagine.
Yes and no. You see, here's the thing. He decided that he was going to name his company Pirate Software to try and fuck with search results for pirated software, because he's actually very much anti-piracy, it turns out.
Oh, anti-piracy? The guy that worked at Blizzard and it doesn't want live service games to have to be
he worked at Blizzard?
Made better? Wait, we did? Oh, I didn't know that. I was just saying, I thought it would sound cool.
Turns out he's not the worst sex pest that they ever hired. Just one of them.
Yeah, but then he gets called out for his code by that coding Jesus guy, and essentially just like cries and copes about it, and is like, "No, my code's actually good. It's good because I can read it."
Oh, don't forget as well that he's been false DMCAing other developers who make fun of him.
That's true. He false DMCAs people. He bans people from his chat. He literally is like the DSP.
He got another developer's game taken off of Steam as a result.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Gosh, I completely forgot about that. There's just been so much to keep track of.
Because he just can't stop creating new L's to take.
He can't stop killing games.
Indeed. Indeed.
And that's all. That's about all I have for the AIDS today.
Actually, isn't there one more thing that came out about him recently?
Oh, is this new?
I'd heard that his father recently came out with.
I heard that, but I couldn't find it.
RP chat logs.
I heard about that, but I couldn't find this.
Now, I have not looked into this, mind you, but this is what I've heard, and I think that's really, really funny because he deserves it.
Oh, it's a Nux Taku video. Uh-oh.
I want to believe.
It's canon to me, goddamn.
Oh, it's on the live stream fails. Hold on, let me fucking find this.
Oh.
Live stream fails.
Well, kind of Fraser, it would certainly explain why he's so gay.
All right, sorry. Let me
Oh yeah. Look at that picture that Bug posted the link there.
Oh, this clip is brutal. Hold on, this clip is brutal. Usually, you got to play this. This is brutal.
But since you did, last month was my birthday and you missed it. You didn't call me. Neither did your brother. You guys both ignored me for my birthday.
That isn't
So-
true. I sent
That
you a
is true.
text.
No, you did not.
Bullshit.
That was last year.
Bullshit.
Oh,
I got nothing. You
I'm gonna
you sent me one last year.
Did I send you one last year? Am I a shitty son? Oh man.
Oh!
This is just painful. This is the side of drama that you enjoy and I just find cringe.
Oh!
Why the fuck are they
You know
airing
what?
this
He's still slightly
publicly?
more self-aware than
He
Big
said
Fat.
you're a shitty son. He's felted. It's over. He's not getting any inheritance. He's done.
Why the fuck are they airing this publicly? What's wrong with these people?
Playing the video.
Oh my god.
Did you know his dad works at Blizzard? Well, he doesn't. He's not talked to his dad in years.
Dude, it's so Jover.
There's 20 more seconds.
Dude,
Are you
this is
ready?
strange. Yeah.
This is gonna hurt.
Wow.
I want everybody to know that Jason, Thor, did not say anything to his father for his birthday a month ago.
If it makes
I'm
you
just
feel
saying.
any better, I didn't text you anything after that last happy birthday, so it's still the same one. It
No.
still counts.
Oh! He hasn't texted him in a year! He hasn't texted his father in a year!
Why would you say that?
You hear the dad's voice crack when he says he didn't text me anything for my birthday. And he had to correct himself. He wasn't even called by his real name, JC. He's like, oh no, Thor. Even his dad knows how stupid it is.
Probably his dad knows better than anyone.
Holy!
Oh, come on. Just was it right before the singer?
Oh, brutal. The last second is a zinger, apparently.
Your logic sucks.
Your logic sucks! Oh! He's felt it! He's done! It's over, buddy! He's fucked!
This is old, this clip, apparently. I guess people are just digging all this shit up. All started because he stood against the great Ross Scott. I mean, look, you've seen Freeman's Mind. Don't give Ross Scott a challenge.
Holy shit. Oh my fucking god. Play it again.
Last month was my birthday and you missed it. You didn't call me. Neither did your brother. You guys both ignored me for my birthday.
That isn't
So-
true. I sent
That
you a
is true.
text.
No, you did not.
Bullshit.
That was last year.
Bullshit.
I got nothing.
I'm gonna
You sent me one last year.
Did I send you one last year? Am I a shitty son? Oh man. It was last. Wow.
I want everybody to know that Jason, Thor, did not say anything to his father for his birthday a month ago.
If it makes
I'm
you
just
feel
saying.
any better, I didn't text you anything after that last happy birthday, so it's still the same one. It
No.
still counts.
Your logic sucks. But since you
Dude,
did,
his voice breaks twice.
His dad seems completely
Twice.
serious here. I'm getting a
His
slight
voice breaks.
Can't even keep up with it.
I'm getting a slight whiff of mental illness from the dad, but it could just be age or like actual being upset about the topic. But Jason here is trying to make it a joke. And there are some things which are serious that you can make into a joke and sort of smooth it over. But his dad is not willing to let this be a joke. He's not willing to. He doesn't crack a smile once doing this.
He's dead serious at how much it hurt him. Because you could hear his voice when he goes, Jason. Oh, I'm sorry, Thor. Like his voice breaks twice. It's oh my god, that's brutal. That's brutal.
This is why you don't want to have a disappointment for a son. Raise him properly. Otherwise, they end up like this.
God,
gay and furry.
That was amazing.
Have you blown your load
and homosexual?
Have you disbursed your AIDS all over the place now?
Oh, dude, my room is filled with AIDS right now. There's just so much. I'm completely covered in AIDS, dude.
Chat, you've all been subjected to our AIDS today.
It was worth pushing back my event for this.
Oh my god.
Definitely.
Yeah, this guy fucking sucks. This guy's awful.
Remind me what your event is tonight, Quattro?
I'll be doing double Zeta.
Ah, okay. Not one I'm watching with you.
Yeah, you still haven't finished Zeta. Oh.
True. Oh, I still haven't finished single Zeta. And there's double Zeta. Is that the I see. Well, that kind of makes sense.
It's basically the second season.
Right.
It never got
We've had one Zeta, yes. What about second Zeta?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
yeah, see, unfortunately, I'd say maybe come give it a watch at some point, but it didn't get dubbed, so oh well.
Oh, he can't
Fortunately,
watch it.
the
As we all know,
are fucking hilarious.
As we all know, Atronach believes dub is superior. I believe I could find the quote of you saying that if I looked.
Suck my dick. Disrespectful.
But
I distinctly remember you telling me that.
I was tired. I was so tired.
He accidentally expressed a correct view, just not the one he believes.
Correct.
He did it again.
I detest this.
What, this video? Yeah, I have to agree. Anyway. I think I'll wrap up there. I am kind of tired anyway. And I just say it'll be a shorter one. I don't want to delay Quattro's event anymore.
Yeah, thank you for participating in my AIDS.
No worries. Hopefully we can experience your AIDS again.
Dude, I'll have plenty more AIDS in the future. There's a nonstop splooge of AIDS to come, I'm sure. And when there is more good juiciness, I will inflict it upon you all.
Well, maybe in the future we can have AIDS and DIDs. We have Atronach's internet drama segment and Dai's internet drama segment.
That's implying that
she'll be asleep for it.
Consistently.
Yeah, that's true.
She usually is. As much as she enjoys AIDS, so she won't be around for it.
Right. Well, thank you for joining me today, chat. You have, I'm sure, enjoyed the stream. If you enjoy these streams and you'd like to see them continue, the community and the streams are 100% audience funded. So I do appreciate any contributions that you send in. You can, as you can see on the topic popularity system there, you can influence certain things like making people kitten by getting them to the highest name on the board. Currently, Clovey is kitten, but I wonder who else it might be funny to force into kittenhood. I wonder, have we actually got Kloptro to kitten yet? There are a few other names on there as well. Sadly, Baked Alaska there isn't going to make much of an impact because Zach left.
I have been.
Well, no harm doing it again.
Mind you.
There is also the curse.
But no, we need to get Glissy Mathussy.
Yeah, Glissy Mathussy might be funny. Assuming he ever comes back. We'll see.
He's just engaging in his favorite new hobby.
Brief absentia.
Oh, you know.
Brief absentia. Oh, don't forget to fill me in on all your juicy AIDS before you go, Zulu.
Anytime.
You said you had some juicy AIDS for me.
I do. I'll let you know what it was. It's
fantastic.
Not all that exciting, but you may be interested.
For me, it is. All knowledge is good knowledge.
That's true. So, chat. I've been working on a new economy system. I know I told you I've had like multiple attempts at it, but it's difficult to find a good design. I had two sort of big public attempts recently, and the second one was okay. It's the one with the Cabal Aid leaderboard. I'm still using the Cabal Aid name, but this third attempt fixes the problems of the second attempt, and it's going to be public quite soon. I've got distracted with the LLM thing, but I'm going to finish that. So your contributions will be making a big difference, not only to the existing board, but to the new one as well, which you'll get a chance to play with. Initially, it will only be using subscribe-style contributions, though I will add in more sources later. So if you want to have an effect on the board, you can contribute via fund.fund.wizardry.net, and you can become a patron, and you get a bonus to the amount of an effect that can have of 30%. And there'll be much more stuff that the new one can do as well, so you'll be able to have much more of an effect. Thank you in advance for anyone who chooses to support Cabal. And other than that, I will see you guys all in Pit 1 for whatever we choose to do after the stream, though Quattro may head down to his room soon afterwards. And I may go to bed soon, but maybe I'll put something on for you guys before we do. Right, if you're not in Cabal, join it. If you are in Cabal, I'll see you there. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Good night.
Come back for more AIDS.